afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor and privilege to call this meeting of the Tallahassee City Commission to order on Wednesday, March 11th at 3:02 in the afternoon. We have already had a historic day here in Chambers, and we're going to have a wonderful City Commission meeting with a public hearing at 6 o'clock. It is my honor and privilege to introduce my friend and yours, Pastor Dana Dudley from New Harvest Christian Center, that will be providing the invocation. Yay. Pastor, thank you for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll please stand for the invocation.
Commissioners and those here in the chambers today, may we go to the Lord in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this day that you have made. We thank you for this moment that you have created. Dear God, I thank you especially for each and every one that's on the dais on this day, because you have prepared them for a purpose. You've prepared them for this place. You've prepared them for this time and this day and this moment. Dear God, our prayer is that as they come together as a body, Lord, that they lead with love, compassion, justice, integrity, and dear God, that they look to you for help and guidance, and that they seek to do what's right on behalf of the people of the city of Tallahassee. Dear Heavenly Father, we ask for your protection over this city, your protection over this state, your protection over this nation. Dear God, I pray that as we are gathered here in this body, that there will be peace, that there will be love, that there will be empathy, that there will be understanding, dear God. Lord, we look to you for our help. We look to you for our guidance. Lord, give us ears and hearts of discernment. Dear God, help us to understand the overall picture, dear God, and to sit back and pause when we need to pause and not rush to judgment, dear God. Lord, we thank you for the great work that has already gone on in this place, in this city, and what is yet to come. Dear God, we all may not be in agreement, but Lord, you give us a sound heart and a sound mind, and let us lead not from a place of fear, but with a place of love. Let us lead with integrity. Let us lead with understanding. Dear God, may everyone in this place today be better than when they arrived. All these things I ask in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, if you will join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pastor, again, thank you. Certainly do appreciate you joining us and starting our meeting off right. All right, Mr. Manager, do we have any agenda modifications?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Walk us through those modifications, please.
Item 5.03, which is a presentation, Real Talk Sister Girls Network, has been added to your presentation section. And there have been a number of updates related to items 1201, 1202, 1203. In the case of 1201, we updated the item to reflect that the bargaining units for the police department took action with a positive vote. We've updated that material. And we've also included on item 1202 the purchase and sale agreement that would go along with the transaction for that recommendation. And then finally, we received communication on item 1203 from St. Joe Company. We included that as an attachment for the public's viewing as well. Okay,
do we have any questions for the manager on the agenda modifications? Any questions for the manager on agenda modifications? Thank you, sir. Seeing none, we're going to go straight into presentations. If my colleagues want to join us down at the podium. We have 3 proclamation presentations today. Ladies and gentlemen, I am passing the gavel on all 3. We're going to start off with Curtis Richardson, Commissioner, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Do
I choose which one? Okay.
Yep.
All right. It is a pleasure to be here this afternoon and to do both of these proclamations. Both of these proclamations. One is in memory of a very good friend of mine who was very active with the Multiple Sclerosis Society and, of course, was herself afflicted with multiple sclerosis and passed recently. And I was told her husband is here. Frank, where are you? Oh, there he is. Okay. Yeah, and Frank's father-in-law, father and I served in the legislature together, so that family has meant so much to me over the years, and it was just very heartbreaking when I got the news that Okay, Natasha, are you here? Okay, come on up, Natasha, join us. And so, you know, of course, it was very heartbreaking when I got the news that Ashley had passed, because she did a lot of work with the MS Society, and every year, between the two of us, we made sure that this proclamation was presented to recognize the month of March as Multiple Sclerosis Month. And so I will read the proclamation and present it to Natasha and Frank. The proclamation reads, whereas multiple sclerosis is an unpredictable disease of the central nervous system that disrupts the flow of information within the brain and between the body, affecting nearly 1 million Americans. And whereas Tallahassee serves as a beacon of progress in Florida, where we recognize that MS most often strikes during the prime of life between the ages of 20 and 50, challenging individuals and families to adapt with extraordinary resilience. And whereas the City of Tallahassee honors the strength of our local warriors, their families, and the healthcare professionals at our regional medical centers who provide life-changing care every day. And whereas since 1946, the National Multiple Sclerosis Society has invested over $1.1 billion in research, transforming MS from an untreatable disease to one with over 20 FDA-approved therapies that help people live more powerful lives. And whereas through events like Walk MS, Tallahassee, our community unites to fuel the pathways to cures, roadmap, ensuring that the best scientific minds have the resources to stop MS in its tracks and restore lost function. And whereas the Florida chapter and our local Tallahassee MS group remains dedicated to empowering our neighbors through advocacy, education, and support, proving that no one must face this journey alone. Now, therefore, I, John E. Daly, by the authority vested in me as mayor of the City of Tallahassee, do hereby recognize as MS Awareness Month, do hereby recognize March as MS Awareness Month, and March 8th through March 14th, 2026 as MS Awareness Week in the City of Tallahassee. I encourage all citizens to wear orange. That's why you see the orange here today. Learn the signs of MS and join us in the relentless pursuit of a world free of multiple sclerosis, in witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand, this is on behalf of the mayor, and caused the seal of the city to be affixed, signed by the mayor, John E. Daly, on this day, March 11th, 2026. You know, and what's interesting is that this happens on the same day that we passed a monumental action this morning to transfer the assets of the City of Tallahassee and TMH to FSU to hopefully soon develop a health center in Tallahassee, and it will address these very same issues that the MS Society has wrestled with over the years. And so I just wanted to make those that weren't here this morning aware of that as well. And so, Frank, let me present this to you and to, if that's okay, Natasha, and you both can say a few words if you would. Go ahead, Natasha.
Thank you. So yes, first, thank you all for this proclamation. It really kind of speaks to, as it does every year, the community that we have rallying behind us, those of us that are living with MS and impacted by MS. One of the things we have going on at the end of the week is our MS Walk, and it really is about community this year. The MS Society doesn't fund our walk. It's 100% volunteer-led and organized, and the amount of vendor support we have, the amount of sponsorships we have this year really speaks to this being our walk as a community. So we thank you all for supporting us. We thank you all for rallying behind us, and hopefully you'll join us on Saturday at the walk at the fairgrounds at 9 a.m. Frank.
I just want to say thanks to Commissioner Richardson. Again, thank you all for all your support, and I'm glad that this is happening. Ashley fought really hard to highlight this and make sure that this is a thing in our community, and so I appreciate all the support of the City of Tallahassee with this.
Okay. Real talks. This next presentation or proclamation is, again, very close to my heart because it's, of course, during Women's History Month. I was raised by my mother. My father was military and traveled a lot, so he wasn't home very much as I was growing up. And so women have always played a very important role in my life personally, and so it means so much to me to be able to present this proclamation today to the Sister Girl Network. And I'm proud to say that I was designated as an honorary Sister Girl.
There you go.
And yeah, come on up.
All the sister girls.
All the Sister Girls, absolutely.
All the sister girls. All the sister
Yeah.
Keep coming.
And so it is absolutely our pleasure to recognize the Real Talk Sister Girls Network here during Women's History Month and all that these young ladies have done to make Tallahassee be the all-America city that she has now been 3 times designated. And so it is my pleasure again to present this proclamation. I want to thank Pastor Mandrell for all the work that she has done to make this happen. And of course, yes, let's give her a hand. And certainly welcome all the young ladies that are here that are a part of this Sister Girl Network and everything you do to make Tallahassee such a wonderful city to live, work, and play. And so with that, I'll read the proclamation and present it to my sister girl. Listen, I use that whenever I can. I love it. Pastor Mandrell just got back from Scotland. She had to go over for some family issues and was able to make it back just in time for this presentation this afternoon. So, Pastor Mandrell, we're glad you're here to be a part of this as well. The proclamation reads, whereas the strength and vibrancy of our city are woven through the diverse experiences of its women, and the Real Talk Sister Girls Network, founded by Dr. Judy Mandrell, serves as a vital bridge uniting women from every walk of life, including business owners, educators, public servants, mothers, and those overcoming diversity. Whereas this inclusive network is dedicated to dismantling the barriers of denomination, political affiliation, and socioeconomic status to foster a culture of radical kindness, racial tolerance, mutual respect. And whereas the Real Talk Sister Girls Network operates on the profound belief that no woman should ever walk alone, providing a sanctuary of trust where sisters straighten each other's crowns, shield one another from destruction, and offer the wink and a smile that signals unwavering support. And whereas through intentional fellowship, the network empowers women to celebrate their unique differences as a divine gift, choosing to dance through life's challenges together rather than retreating in isolation. And whereas the organization actively serves the greater good by facilitating resources for unmet needs, honoring the insights of others, and striving for mutual agreement even amidst differing opinions. And whereas having already reached over 1,000 women from those in high office to those returning from incarceration, this movement has proven that when women esteem one another in high regard, the entire community is uplifted. Now, therefore, I, John E. Daly, by the authority vested in me as mayor of the City of Tallahassee, do hereby recognize the Real Talk Sister Girls Network in our city, and I call upon all residents to join this sisterhood. I don't know if I want any other honorary. Okay. The Real Talk Sister Girls Network in our city, and I call upon all residents to join in this sisterhood where there are no barriers, to applaud the successes of our neighbors, to offer a hand during times of tragedy, and to give thanks for the unique spirit of every sister girl in our community. In witness whereof I have hereunto set in my hand and caused the great seal of the City of Tallahassee to be affixed, and it's signed by our mayor, John E. Daly, on this day, March 11, 2026. Pastor Mandrell.
I'm going to be extremely short, but if I could get the ladies to kind of like come around me. Oh, yeah. Oh, and our come on, Commissioner Porter. Come on, all of y'all. Yeah, come on. Some on this side, too. I'm going to be very short. I did a eulogy in Scotland, and I didn't know, Mayor, that I had 6 minutes. I did not know that. They didn't tell me. They just looked at me, right? Well, I spoke 11 and a half minutes. I didn't know I had 6 until I got in the car, and my brother-in-law's sister said, Judy, you only had 6 minutes. Did you see the priest looking at you? I said, I thought he was saying I was doing a good job. He was trying to tell me my time was up. But I just want to say thank you. Honorary Sister Girl Curtis is always there. Mike Goldstein tried to join in, but he just wasn't a good fit. Had to be Curtis Richardson. And to the mayor, to my husband, to everybody, I want to thank you. I want to thank the City of Tallahassee. I have the women around here, there's a lot more, some at work, and so forth and so on. But y'all, we do more, we do better together. I live, it doesn't matter, you could be Republican, Democrat, independent, non-registered, it doesn't matter. Black, white, Indian, it doesn't matter. What matters is that we care for each other, that we love one another, that we respect each other. And that's what it's all about. And I believe that no matter where we are, there shouldn't ever be a sister who is afraid to be anywhere because she sees another sister. And that's what this is all about. I had my 60th birthday party, and I invited the whole city. I just told everybody to come. And over 450 women showed up. I didn't know it was going to be that many, but over 450 women showed up. We went to TCC, over 500 women showed up. We had it at the mayor's house. His wife, Virginia Daly, hosted us for Christmas.
I bartended that one. We're going to leave it at that. Just going to leave it at that, Curtis. Leave it at that.
Over 350 women showed up. Over 350 women showed up. And when we get together, it's nothing. We just come. There's no titles. Yeah. There's no big eyes or little U's. We come and we fellowship together. And we're always going to do a line dance. Because one thing I've learned, my husband and I have traveled Hawaii, Alaska, Jamaica, everywhere. And one thing everybody have in common is a dance. And I believe that as we dance together, y'all, we forget about stuff. And so we're not fighting, we're not arguing, we're sister girls, and we're on fire. And we make things happen. And Tallahassee is a better place because the women are here. And we're better together. And we straighten each other crown. We don't let you go out not knowing what you look like. We're there. And you can find me almost everywhere. Yep. I'm almost everywhere, clapping, cheering, encouraging people to be together. I'll go anywhere because you know why? When I sneeze, no. So I want to say thank you all. And to all of these ladies, thank you all so very much. I appreciate you all. And it's good. We're rolling again. And we're about to do some more stuff. My supervisor of women for my jurisdiction, Mother Rosemary Gasson, is looking in Tampa. I just want to tell everybody, thank y'all. I love y'all. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Because if you don't love me back, you love me back. And I want to say Commissioner Diane Williams, Commissioner Jack Porter, they have been there. Where is she? Oh, right here. Our clerk of court has been here, been there. Dana Brooks, all of these women I can call. Pastor Dana, Danette, and I can call everybody. And our honorary sister girl. And I want to say Tallahassee, women, and our permanent bartender.
Thank you.
You're right. It was funny because we don't really have alcohol at our events, but y'all just come on. I guess that's my bell. And I want to say thank you all so very much.
Everybody just sitting right here. Diane, we're gonna segue and we're gonna take one big picture. I'd like to invite you to come. It's great to see you, clerk. I want to remind you that in Scotland they refer to their mayor as Lord Mayor. Just saying, right? Like in Ireland, right?
So this is the Sister Girl Network, but I want all women to come join us if you so desire to do so. Don't be shy. Come on. I'm getting ready to do the proclamation for all of us. Calling all ladies.
That's true, by the way.
All ladies, come on down. Who rule the world? All right then. Come on.
This is cool.
I'll take the first one, you take the All right, we got all the women? Me? Okay, come on. So me and my sister commissioner are gonna share this, and I'm gonna do the first paragraph, and we're gonna just alternate all the way down, all right?
Love it.
From the governing body of the City of Tallahassee, a proclamation. Whereas women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our nation and the city in countless recorded and unrecorded ways, and
Whereas women have served our nation courageously in every branch of the military, and
whereas women were particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions in our nation and city, and
whereas women of every race, class, and ethnic background have been leaders not only in securing their own rights to vote and equal rights, but also in the civil rights movement and the labor movement, which create a more fair and just society for all, and
read the next one.
whereas despite these contributions, the role of women in history consistently has been overlooked and undervalued in literature, teaching, and in history of America, and
Whereas now more than ever, I heard that on Friday, didn't I? Whereas now more than ever, the Oasis Center for Women and Girls, the Tallahassee-Leon County Commission on the Status of Women and Girls, and many other organizations work locally to make the invisible history of women and girls visible.
And whereas this year, in honor of all the women who have worked to make our community great, we are giving special recognition to the contributions of our 2026 Trailblazer honorees, Martha Barnett, Vicki Bradley, Hannah Cronick, Joanne Gallagher, Macy Hartman, Paige Kubik, Dylan Lawson, Graciela Marquina, Oluwamondupe Olidi,
Girl, you doing it.
and Gloria Pugh.
I just call her Dupe. Now therefore, I, John E. Daly, by the authority vested in me as mayor of the City of Tallahassee, do hereby recognize March as
Women's History Month,
and March 8th, International Women's Day. In witness thereof, wherefore I have hereunto set my signature, these glasses are not working, and caused the seal of the City of Tallahassee to be affixed. Mayor Daley signed it on today, March 11, 2026. So we are the women of the world. Yeah. So hear us roar. Okay, so now we've got to get this massive panoramic picture. So nobody move. Nobody move. Where's the Oasis Center? Okay, spokesperson.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Oasis Women of Girls Center, the Board of Directors, I just want to say thank you so very much for this honor. So many individuals throughout our city and county work very hard, as the goal of Oasis is to allow women and girls to thrive, because I truly believe when women and girls thrive, everybody thrives. And we appreciate the opportunity not only to be seen, heard, but recognized, especially during this month of Women History Month, because we believe we are not only making history, but we are projecting history as we continue to tell her story about the great things that we do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, okay, we got another one.
Good afternoon, Dr. Jasmine Bryan, Chair of the Tallahassee-Leon County Commission on the Status of Women and Girls, and on behalf of CSWG, we extend a heartfelt thank you to the City Commission for recognizing the work of the CSWG, and we look forward to continuing our efforts to advance our community for women and girls, that no woman or no girl is left behind in this community. So thank you all so much.
Amen. Amen.
Look this way for a picture and do the best job we can.
Y'all come on in. Come on in.
Come on this side.
Y'all come on this side. Come in. Let's see.
Board Commissioner.
Yeah, it's taped. I can't move it. I can't move it.
Everybody got a little.
They just got to come over this way.
Window. Everybody get a window. You gotta do a panoramic picture. She's really
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. Good job. Yeah. Board Commissioners.
And Mayor, in case we didn't hear it, the clerk of court was in chambers with us. Is she still here? We in
Is the
Marshall?
clerk of the court
Knight?
still with us? In chambers? I think
May
we
have
missed
gone
her,
out,
but
okay.
we certainly
Oh,
thank
there
her.
she is, there she is. The Honorable Gwendolyn Knight. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any announcements coming before the city commission at this time, Mr. Manager?
No, sir.
All right, do we have any appearances to come before this board from other governmental entities?
No, sir.
We're on the consent agenda. Has anything been pulled off the consent agenda item?
No, sir.
Move consent.
Do we have any public comments on consent agenda?
No, sir.
Wow, nothing's been pulled, no public comment. Looking for direction.
Move consent.
Second.
Consent has been properly moved by the Lord Commissioner Diane Williams-Cox. And seconded by the Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, passes unanimously, 5-0. We are on City Commission 10.01. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 10.01 is asking you to take action for selection of one of your members of the 5 elected officials to serve as the City of Tallahassee's nominee for the 2026-2027 Florida League of Cities Board of Directors as one of our 10 most populous cities. Commissioner Williams-Cox is currently finishing a term serving in that seat.
And I believe that the recommendation from the League of Cities is for Commissioner Williams-Cox to continue service.
As far as I know, that
Are you willing to
that is the
continue to
case. I know
serve,
she's
Commissioner Williams-Cox?
willing and-
I am willing to continue to serve.
Any
And that
public,
is my motion, Mr. Mayor.
been properly moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, I'll second it. Any further comment from the public?
No comment from the public.
All right, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, passes unanimously, 5-0. We're on.
Thank you, colleagues.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for your service. We're on item number 10.02. Mr. Clerk.
Mayor and Commissioners, the Municipal Code Enforcement Board has a vacant seat, which became vacant upon resignation of a previous member of that body. That seat would expire on May 31st of 2028, and Jordan Brown is recommended to serve in that seat to fill out the unexpired portion of the term, and then would be eligible at that point for future appointment.
Excellent. Do we have any public comment on this item?
No, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept staff recommendation option number 1 to appoint Jordan Brown to seat 4 on the Municipal Code Enforcement.
Option one's been probably moved by the Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Williams-Cox. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, passes unanimously, 5-0. Any other appointments come before us, Mr. Clerk?
No, sir.
We're on introduction of ordinance 11.01. Madam Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item number 11.01 is the introduction of ordinance number 26-Z-06, an ordinance of the City of Tallahassee, Florida, designating land as medium-density residential zoning district, MR1, on the official zoning map from single-family detached, attached, and two-family residential zoning district, R3, on 2.8 acres located at 3667 and 3713 Mahan Drive, providing for conflicts and severability and providing an effective date. The recommended action is option 1, introduce ordinance number 26-Z-06 and set the first and only public hearing for April 15, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the City of Tallahassee City Commission chambers at City Hall. Any ex parte disclosures concerning this item are available via the hyperlink included in the agenda item as published in the board doc system.
All right, do we have any public comment on this item, even though it's a simple introduction?
We do not.
There's no formal action to be taken, but we ceremoniously usually take a motion to accept the introduction. Is there some movement?
So move, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
Second.
Probably moved by the Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Commissioner Williams-Cox. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, passes unanimously, 5-0. Any other ordinances to be introduced tonight? Madam Attorney.
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right, we're on policy formation direction 12.01. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is my privilege to introduce this item. We've got, and I want to recognize a couple folks before we get into the presentation and overview. We've got President Richard Murphy with the PBA in attendance, Senior Vice President Justin Turner in attendance, and we've worked very, very closely with them. And as you'll hear in the presentation, I would think this was a model negotiation. And that can only happen when you have good alignment, shared priorities. In this case, that was very evident in our negotiations with the PBA. And so we're in front of you tonight, March 11th. Very early in the process. I'm very pleased for it with just a fantastic contract, in my opinion. So I wanted to recognize these gentlemen for their work, for working with us and, being fair and respectful and doing a great job. With that, let me recognize our team, Mike Mattamore with Norton Blue, I'm sorry, Alan Norton and Blue, get that right. He was outside counsel for us, and he's done a great job. He's going to make the presentation. I also want to recognize Sandra Timpson. She's our HR director and has been instrumental in, keeping this process on track and really getting us to a good outcome. And so, Mike, could I ask you just to give just a thumbnail sketch of what we were able to accomplish, hit the high points, I think, for the benefit of the commission and the audience. And Mr. Mayor, we're seeking your approval to ratify these agreements.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I have great news in a record amount of short time. Actually, 2 full sessions and an organizational session. 3 meetings, we were able to have a full book, 3-year collective bargaining agreement that's wrapped up and will resolve all negotiations with the police units, there's 2 of them, for the next 3 years. That's going to give us reassurance financially. It's going to bring us labor peace, and we all can move forward with a really good contract. And I would like to recognize the city's team. They did a great job. I'd also like to recognize the PBA. They came to the bargaining table prepared. They were professional. They knew what they could take and what they could give. And it's amazing, it really is. I've been doing this for 45 years. I think this is the smoothest negotiations that I've ever been involved with. So I'm really proud of that. We have, by and large, a status quo collective bargaining agreement. In other words, we really didn't change a lot from what's been working for the last 3 years. We didn't reinvent the wheel. We tweaked it where it needed to be tweaked. We had to obviously move the economics forward because we have to stay competitive in the market. And so we did that. But some of the changes we made is we modernized the grievance process by allowing emails. We defined what is callback. So we took away a lot of the confusion about what triggers callback. We did some change and updated the amount of off-duty work that could be performed by an officer from 25 hours to 30 hours. Those are the kinds of things that we did in addition to the economics. And that contract, those contracts were presented to the members of the bargaining unit for their consideration and ratification. In both contracts, the officers and the supervisors both passed these contracts and ratification with a 98% approval vote. Of the supervisors, 44 out of 45 voted yes. So again, this is a contract that everybody likes, everybody can live with, and now we present it to this commission for your consideration and ratification.
Excellent. Any questions for Mr. Mattamore? Any questions? Do we have any public comment on this item?
Mayor, we do have one speaker on this item.
Okay.
Delilah Pierre.
Your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Delilah Pierre. My address is exempt. I am the president of the Tallahassee Community Action Committee. We're a direct action organization that's been fighting against police crimes in our city since 2018. And I'm here to speak out against the signing, like the approval of the police contract negotiation. At At this time, well, first and foremost, I just want to go into the history of the Police Benevolent Association. They have a history of avoiding accountability. Most recently, we can see them demanding the removal of Taylor Bureau, a member of the Citizens Police Review Board, with a statement that included false information about her having a cup that said, F the police. This was not true, and I think the real intention of the Police Benevolent Association was not to stop Taylor Bureau from being too radical, but to stop Taylor Bureau from instituting changes that would have given the Citizens Police Review Board more oversight. They've also threatened Max Hurley and others in our city when releasing information about the DUI of Calvin Riley and how Officer Kirsten Oliver and Margaret Muth intentionally planted evidence on Calvin Riley to get him arrested. This did not need to be a closed-door meeting. That was not required by the city law, but they chose it to be a closed-door meeting. And I think that again goes to show the problem with accountability that other people in Tallahassee see in our community, especially with the signing of the 287G agreement without that being voted on by the public and the city commission at first. These are more and more signs that our community prioritizes police having power over the priorities of people having the ability to control how they are policed. We're seeing this higher pay for officers when police officers and the police budget already takes up 1/3 of our city budget, along with the fact that I don't think we're seeing higher wages in reality for city employees that are competitive, that are drawing people to the city and making people want to stay as city employees. We're funding policing while poverty and rising prices threaten Tallahassee citizens. This is not the way for us to go. We don't need a more expensive Tallahassee Police Department headquarters. We don't need more recruitment and retention of police officers in Tallahassee. We need proactive solutions to poverty and economic disparities facing people in Tallahassee. I don't know if y'all know what's been happening. You probably do, but a gas station that I usually go to, the one by Walmart, because it's the cheapest, went up from, I think, like $2.59 to probably $3.40. This is how drastic the potential economic crisis that's happening because of the U.S. and Israel war on Iran will be on the people of Tallahassee. There is a possibility and potential for food prices and gas prices to be rising for everyone. And at this time, we do not need to be focusing on giving more funding to policing, especially giving more funding to policing behind doors. We demand that our city open this contract negotiation process to the public, and we demand that these city commissioners do not pass this budget. The police don't need more money, the people do.
Our next speaker, please.
Mayor, there are no other speakers on this item.
Great. Mr. Murphy, would you like to make any comments? Thank you. I'll begin by making the motion for option number 1. The recommended option's been seconded by the Mayor Pro Tem. I could not be more pleased. I disagree with a lot of the comments that were made. It is very important that we stay competitive, especially in the law enforcement field. It's unfortunately that there are comments made that are misrepresentation of judicial proceedings and court cases and whatnot. I'm proud of TPD. I'm proud of the job that TPD does. Proud to work with you each and every day. Keep up the great work. And on behalf of the union leadership that's here, I'm also very proud of how this process went. Followed it by the book. I did a great job. I think our team did a great job. And therefore, we are here, and I look forward to supporting wholeheartedly the option that's on the table. Commissioner Porter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had a question, which was simply, the last time this contract came before us, we talked a little bit about the discretionary authority clause specifically related to drug testing results for officers. And I wanted to know if that was included. I read through it, but there's no search function for these contracts. So can anyone answer that question?
Mr. Matamore?
The only change that we made to the drug testing language in the collective bargaining agreement is that we struck some language that has to do with a blood sample. And that is not something that we're able to do. We haven't been able to do. We don't have that function. So what is not possible, we struck out of that article, but the rest of the article remained intact.
Okay, can you just tell me the article? Do you remember?
It's Article 25.
Article 25. Okay, thank you. I'm not categorically opposed to this contract as being presented, but it is a non-starter for me that we approve a contract where the police chief has sole discretion. If an officer has tested positive for a controlled substance, that in their discretion, they can choose to violate city policy, which is a zero tolerance policy for drugs. I'm not comfortable with that. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin with that. Any other comments?
You could try.
Okay. I completely disagree with the characterization that was made. We followed the process. TPD followed the process. We followed the statewide process. We had external organizations looking as well. I completely, 100%, for the record, disagree with the statements by my colleague, and I look forward to supporting the issue on the table, 100%. Commissioner Matlow, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And first off, thanks everybody who worked along the way on this contract. We certainly support raising compensation for both our new officers as well as across the board in our city. I think we're a little top-heavy, particularly in the management's office, particularly at our city, but we do need to make sure our rank-and-file employees across all departments are being treated fairly. I do have some questions on the cost. Mr. Manager, the item has a total cost of, this computer's slow, just under $9 million. And the first year implementation cost was about 4.5, 4.8. What's the discrepancy on a 3-year that's creating such a higher cost for the first year?
Sure, Mr. Manager.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner, I'm not sure I understand the question. You said discrepancy?
Or not, the total annual cost is closer to $5 million per year, and that's because of the pension contribution by the city?
Let me take a stab at it. I believe I understand the question. It's the first year is more costly than years 2 and 3. Is that the nature of the question?
Is it, is $9 million?
It's a function of, essentially what we have is, since the last contract, you've had a continuous market shift. And you'll recall the last contract that you approved for the police, there was kind of a stair-step shift then to kind of bring the wages back in line with the market, and it worked. Years 2 and 3 of that contract were more typical. And so you see a similar shape today. So year 1 of the contract, the raises as a, if you wanted to express them as a percentage or total change in dollars, are the greatest because it brings the officers and the supervisors more in line with the market. That evolved over the last 3 years. And then in years 2 and 3, it returns to a more normalized increase in wage. And so it's not equalized over the 3 years, if you will. It's kind of front-loaded to reflect the market. I think that answers your question.
That does, thank you. The other question I had, the decision to strike the tobacco use policy prohibiting tobacco use on and off duty, are there any impacts, and Mr. Cook, you may know, are there any impacts to our insurance policies, health insurance policies, or pensions policies, life insurance that would be impacted by that decision?
I don't believe so. That's not something I've specifically asked, but I think that provision would, from an actuarial basis for the pension plan, be insignificant.
Okay, thank you. Those are all the questions I had. Commissioner Porter, I share your concern about the policy for drug use if there was a recommendation there, but I support the other items in this agenda item. Thank you.
Before I come back to Commissioner Porter for comments, do anybody else have a comment?
I don't have anything.
Okay, Commissioner Porter?
I just want to read the language that says in Article 25, Section 8, upon confirmation of a positive test result for the legal use or abuse of a controlled substance, the employee shall immediately be removed from duty, placed on leave without pay status, and subject to disciplinary action up to and including, but not requiring. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not interested in relitigating. All those in favor of the motion that I made for option number 1, the recommended action to approve the collective bargaining agreements covering the police officers and investigators and sergeant lieutenants bargaining units as ratified by the union membership, seconded by the Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed.
Nay.
And it was passed 4-1 with Commissioner Porter in dissent. Thanks again. Congratulations, Mr. Menmore. Thank you as well. We're on item number 12.02. Mr. Manager.
Yes, sir. This item seeks your approval for the sale of 2 downtown city blocks, commonly known as Chevron and Johns. You'll recall in November, you authorized staff to seek proposals using a real estate broker. TLG is our broker. Mark Bedoin from TLG is here today, as well as Ben Wilkinson. They conducted the proposals. We received numerous proposals, and we recommend the 908 Group is the recommended proposer for the sale of the property. Mark, if I could ask you to just give us a thumbnail sketch of what the proposals were, you know, our recommendation. And Mr. Mayor, we recommend your approval of this item.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners, appointed officials. My name is Mark Bedoin with TLG Real Estate Services. Staff has asked I give you a brief overview of the marketing process that ended up in today's recommendation. We've successfully used this approach in the past, specifically on Weems Road, where we have the ViStar development. A little bit of a hybrid where we market traditionally through our commercial real estate platform, goes all over the world. We get thousands of interest, and then we do a cutoff date and a call for proposals, which was February 15th. That resulted in 6 proposals, and we had specific items in there that we were looking for. That was a timeline to close, the development in itself, the experience and qualifications of the proposer, and obviously price. So we got 6 proposals. We went back to staff with these proposals and kind of did a ranking and ended up with today's recommendation with 908 Group. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions first before we go to public comment?
We have a presentation on what's proposed to be built there.
Sure.
No, I think Mark can describe it. Mark, the question is what the proposer 908 is proposing to construct there, the hotel and residential.
Correct. A
If you can
residential
describe that.
project on one block and a hotel project on the other block.
Okay.
Commissioner Matlow.
We can go to public comment.
Again?
That's okay.
Okay. Do we have any public comment on this item?
Mayor, we have one speaker, Mike Goldstein, on this item. We do also have Aaron Tilton here if you have questions for that.
Name and address for the record, please.
Mike Goldstein, 914 Railroad Avenue, Tallahassee, Florida, 33310. First off, thanks for your presentation on how work has done to this point. I would just ask that 908 maybe rescinds their bid because there's a lot of their properties in the area already down the hill, a lot of housing and hotels that are already there with the same look and same motif. I would suggest you guys vote option 2 and find something different to do in the area. I mean, they could go to Washington Square. That's already still available down the street, isn't it? That's the same kind of space maybe, I don't know. But that does not help year-round with the students there, and when they're not here, that doesn't help the economy in the area. And hotels, when there's something going on, that does help with that. But I'm just wondering, with option 2, what else could go there that is not the same of what's already all around it? I mean, I'm just wondering, we're trying to do 18-hour downtown. How is this helping with that overall? So I'm just trying to see what other things on there, because on the item, it doesn't even say what else could. It's like you all have to give direction to staff about an option that's not even presented besides what's here. So just trying to understand what that means for future and what else is out there, because this is just all around us already. So we already lost Scramblings, Feed Store, before that the Book Mine on Gaines, and the next one that is already down there with last year's discussion, the warehouse on Gaines, the art center that we keep talking about for years. I know Coco left already, but what else could be, the beach, sorry, can we go back to the slide with the picture if we can, quick, if I have time, the previous slide?
Can we go back a previous slide?
Please. So we have a volleyball, and then I guess the other item part was losing revenue from the parking. Is that part of what is the con, I think, as I read online? So, I mean, I'm not sure how often that's used, but it's going to take time to build up this stuff and all that. And we've already got eyesores all around the college area. That's what I just discussed. So, I mean, we have time to maybe just not rush on this one either, but what else could fill up that void? Because we keep losing cultural and historical institutions around town for the years. And how's that going to help with historical and just overall economy and bringing people here for tourism, because more housing for students, 9 months a year, great, but the 3 that are gone, that doesn't help stimulate the local economy when they're basically back home for breaks and college semester. So, and then the hotel would be for half of that, maybe just the hotel part, but what else could fill up that void? And that's all I got. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker, please.
No other speakers on the item.
Name and address for the record, please.
Erin Tilton, Stearns Weaver Miller, 106 East College Avenue, on behalf of 908 Group. I also have my partner, Matthew Bryant, here with me today. He's our procurement expert in-house, so to the extent there's any questions regarding process, I've got him here with me to address those. I just wanted to briefly, on behalf of 908, express how excited the company is about this opportunity. You heard a little bit about the advertising for sale and the criteria that were listed, being an actual offer, the terms, development proposals, experience, closing terms, kind of what the city wanted to see in reviewing proposed offers for this site. And I can tell you, 908 Group took that very seriously. That what you've seen in these slides is obviously a potential rendering of what they're currently intending to do on the site. We're very early in process. Due diligence has to be completed so that we can actually see if there are environmental features that need to be avoided and all that kind of, that work still needs to be done. But we're really, positioning this site as a mixed-use connection between campus and the downtown area, right? So while, yes, 908 is historically a student housing developer, they are anticipating that because of the location of this project, it would be more, 1 and 2 bedroom units than typically you would see in their products. Again, moving up Gain Street, towards the downtown area, this could provide a really great transition zone from campus and into downtown. So they're really excited to be able to bring that project to Tallahassee. Just to give you a few of the numbers, estimated cost is going to be about $125 million for the multifamily, $45 for the hotel, with an estimated $1.25 million in tax revenue coming back to the city every year annually. With that, there is a executed purchase and sale agreement attached to your agenda. We have already negotiated that with your staff so that if you are to accept our proposal today, it is ready to go. 908 is excited to get started. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. Mr. Manager, it does state that in the event the sale is unsuccessful, that you have the ability or your designee to negotiate and execute a sale with the second-ranked proposal. Who is in the second-ranked proposal?
Yes, sir. Thank you for that question. The second-ranked proposal was from FSU, which would be a campus expansion as they listed it. Their proposed price was $8.2 million with what I would say an extended closed due diligence period.
How many proposals did we receive?
Thank you, sir. Let me just give you a feel for the proposal.
Just give an overview, yeah.
I will. So you've heard from the 908 Group. You understand their proposal. It's residential as well as hotel. We ranked FSU, or the team ranked FSU with a campus expansion plan as the second proposal. The others were not put in rank order, but we did receive proposals from a group labeled as Panhandle Plus Properties. They noted their use to be student and conventional housing, possible retail uses. That was a $5 million proposal. We received 2 different proposals from Landmark Properties, one of which was $25 million with an extended closing. TLG, having a lot of experience in this, worked with them and talk to them about that proposal. That is typical when you receive a proposal that's expecting to have a reduction in that price over time based on the findings of due diligence. That is not unusual, I'm told, and Ben and Mark can speak to it more, where you offer an inflated price with an expectation that turns out to be something different over a period of time. Recognizing that and having that conversation, Landmark also submitted a second proposal that was, and both of these were noted as 5-story wrap-style residential, 300-plus units, 7 levels above ground, parking and underground, so it was residential in nature on both blocks. The second proposal from Landmark was $9 million. And so that was kind of reflecting the feedback that TLG gave them. And then finally, we received a proposal from WFHP, Jason Talbot, for $7 million. Its stated use was student and conventional housing. So most of the proposals were housing. As you might imagine, that's the trend in that area. Excuse me, 908 did propose the hotel. So that was the extent of the proposals we got. Again, FSU was ranked second in those.
All right. Sure, Mayor Pro Tem.
Manager, thank you, Mr. Mayor. City Manager told me this yesterday, but for the benefit of the public. What will this add in terms of property taxes to the revenue stream for the city of Tallahassee?
Well, yesterday I was speculating. It was a good question. I think we just heard the answer from Aaron. And Aaron, that was well over $100 million if I was keeping track. Can you remind us what you just said, Aaron? That was great information.
Yeah, so the 908, based on the valuation of the building and their similar projects in the area, is estimating $1.25 million annually.
That's in the tax revenue. What's the total project value again?
Oh, the project value, yes. Okay, so the project value, the cost for the residential portion, the multifamily portion is $125 million. The hotel is $45.
Yeah, so that was consistent. Yes, sir. So it would be substantial.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I have jobs numbers too, if you'd like those.
No, we're good. Is the target audience student housing?
I think the target audience is tenants, but yeah, I mean, you're on Gaines Street, so there obviously would be students looking to rent there.
But we're talking, okay. Colleagues, questions, comments? Commissioner Porter?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was wondering, since Commissioner Matlow sits on the DIA, if this is something that y'all have reviewed, and if you could, if so, report back.
Commissioner Matlow, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this was on the most recent DIA schedule. Other issues ran long, so there wasn't time for an in-depth conversation, so the DIA hasn't taken action on it. I can speak. Is that the only question?
Yeah. See, for you, yeah.
Or do you have?
No, I don't have any other questions. I wanted to ask if the DIA had weighed in.
Okay. Further comments?
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, we did have conversations with different downtown folks who expressed concern about the hotel site that was proposed, looking very suburban in nature. If you can pull it back up on the map, about 80% of the site is surface parking, and it's not really reminiscent of a downtown style hotel, what was proposed. I did have conversations with the developer, and they are open to exploring that concept to make it more road appropriate. Yeah, that's the photo. You can see the picture there. So for a kind of signature downtown project, it really isn't consistent with, I think, what we're looking for downtown as far as lining Gaines Street, lining the adjacent corridors, and not having a bunch of surface parking lining our downtown streets. We've done a lot better job with other hotel projects, providing either structured parking or screening. So I think there's a lot that needs to be done to upgrade that site. And I think in contrast, you see the apartment building being a $120 million investment. That's really maximizing the use of that space downtown, and the hotel is quite different that's being proposed. And I'd say these two sites are the largest undeveloped sites in downtown Tallahassee on a very important corridor between Gaines Street and Cascades Park. We've done a poor job of maintaining public space on that walk as we've sold off public property. Burnett Park's the only public space you have walking from the stadium all the way to the Cascades Park. So I do think, I have a desire to see us incorporate some public space on whatever does get built here. I think, I don't support more encroachment of student housing into downtown Tallahassee. I know there's been conversations about would this building have more 1-1s and 2 bedrooms, as Ms. Tilton has stated. I'm not sure what that mix will look like. Do you have is there I don't know if business plans have been developed as far as, yeah, do you mind?
Hilton?
On the demographic expectation versus undergrad students, grad students, young professionals, is there any speculation on what that mix would look like?
I can offer you pretty much speculation only at this point, this early on in the process, but what I can tell you is that 908 Group is expecting this to be slightly different than their traditional product that you see along Gain Street, just because of the location being closer to downtown and further away from campus. And that's why the visioning for it was more of a, kind of transitional project that would be mixed use and connect those two, connect downtown and campus and kind of seamlessly go from one to the other. So for that reason, I think that the plan, at least at this point, is to do more of your ones and twos and to have that hotel, restaurant, all kind of in that area. I do, if you'll allow me, these drawings on here are really just meant to give you an idea of what is going to be laid out on the site. So I want to be very clear to the extent you're looking at this and saying, oh my gosh, there's a ton of surface parking there and we don't like that. I don't know that we've even taken these plans and run them through the MMTD, which would apply in this area, to make sure that these meet all of those standards. Of course, when we get to site design, that would all have to go through your staff. Everyone would be looking at it for compliance with the downtown overlay, the multimodal transportation district, central core standards. All of that would be done at that time.
Okay, that was going to be my second question, so thank you for anticipating that. I do, if this moves forward, I do have interest in continuing the conversation of how we can add additional public spaces, minimize the surface parking, and really, frankly, even increase the density of what's being built on such a downtown corridor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So does your client have interest in meeting with all of us to talk about design standards, or just one or two of us to talk about?
I am certain they would be happy to meet with all of you, individually, of course.
That'd be great. I was a little caught off guard that meeting's taken place before an official approval took place.
Understood, Mr. Mayor, and we apologize for that.
No sense. I'm just glad that we can all be included in these talks as well. Absolutely. Commissioner Williams-Cox.
That was my concern as well, Aaron, and a recommendation has been made, but if we're going to be changing things on the fly after having a meeting with one commissioner or however many commissioners was met with, that causes me some concern. And that would, that could be a game changer. That could stop what we're trying to do right here, right now. If what I'm hearing is that some other suggestions or some other ideas have filtered to the developer before we even have approved this. So that causes me some concern. Can you ease my concern?
Yes, happy to, Commissioner. So first of all, again, I apologize for not having met with all of you. I know you had a very, very busy day today and a lot going on. What I will tell you is that at this point in the process, because we are just talking purchase and sale agreement, 908 has not, they have a peek at some of the due diligence documents from the prior transaction that there was for this site, but by and large, we haven't looked at environmental. We haven't looked at any of the issues that we're going to have to dig into before laying out the site design. So at this point, I can tell you that all must take place before we have a firmer idea of what's actually going to go on this site. And I think I can speak on behalf of my client in saying that they would be happy to meet with all of you to discuss that.
Sorry, Commissioner Williams.
Yeah, thank you for that. I did see your client before this meeting. He was up on the floor. I met him again because I've seen him before with Ed Murray. And he didn't mention anything at that time that he was considering some other design or some other options. And so that's why I'm kind of like the mayor, I'm kind of taken aback. This is news to me that there's been some consideration for some changes. So I can support this if we're not changing anything and we're going to do what you're saying, which I know that is the process. But I just don't want the process to be short-circuited by getting a suggestion from one group, from one of us, and not have an opportunity to hear from all, because the proposal that was presented was what the evaluation was based upon, and that's how the recommendation was made. So, and that's what's before us today. So I just want to make sure that the proposer understands that we need what he proposed to follow the right process and not short-circuit it.
I will be happy to convey that, Commissioner.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just very briefly, I got a call yesterday from the director of the DIA, Downtown Improvement Authority, expressing those same concerns. And I immediately, because I knew that this had to go through the permitting process and staff would be working with the client and to bring forth something that of course would be consistent with our standards, MMTD and others, I directed him to the city manager or the client to get that kind of information. I knew that I was not in a position to do that, and so I didn't put myself in that situation. I immediately directed him to the city manager and the client to express those concerns.
I also had a similar experience like Commissioner Williams-Cox. I saw your client earlier today. Traditionally, I don't engage before the vote takes place. There's nothing that prohibits it, but usually we wait for the vote to take place. If there was serious concerns about changing what has been submitted, and he's meeting with everyone, it would have been nice to include as well. But well, I think we're making the point well. Yeah. Commissioner Williams-Cox, Commissioner Porter's been patient with their hands up.
Oh, okay,
Well,
I'm sorry.
That's okay, go ahead.
I just wanted
Cox.
to mention that I too received a call from the DIA director, and I referred him to the client.
We'll be happy to take that phone call.
Okay.
Great. Commissioner Porter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I met with the developer. I also spoke to the DIA director. The developer seemed open to doing whatever they could design-wise so that the look would be consistent with the downtown. There was no guarantee of that, but I'm a little confused. I mean, I don't think that changes the project to minimize parking or to move the design around so that the parking is less forward-facing or not. The developer did say, that, I mean, this is student housing, from his own words, though they are trying to, my understanding, incorporate more studio, one-bedroom to capture graduate students, young professionals, which I was happy to hear. I mean, I can't say that I'm ever excited to hear about student housing. At the same time, these properties have been underutilized. I wish the city had done more with these properties because I'm always eager to see publicly owned land being activated and serving the public. And once it's gone, it's gone. So I'm not sure what direction we're going in based on the conversations we've had or what the next steps would be as far as it's my understanding, I mean, if we move forward today, there's no input we can really give, there's no conditions we can give once we move forward. I'm also swayed by the fact that they're being underutilized, they're not on the tax rolls. This will support the DIA's goals. So I guess at this point, I'm not sure where we are all at, given the conversations that we've had about concerns being expressed for, not having met with the developer. I'm not sure where we're headed at this point.
Commissioner Matlow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My understanding is this item contemplates the sale of the property. It's not approving any specific project to be built in any shape or fashion. So I did express my concerns that were shared by multiple planners to make Tallahassee, downtown Tallahassee, the best that it can be, as we all should be concerned about. I don't think trying to force this suburban hotel on this site makes any design standard plans. Certainly this is the proper meeting for us to discuss what we would like to see take place on that property. That's why we're discussing it here, but there's no indication or requirement for any of this to change or be built exactly as this is outside of the codes that we have in the area. So my conversation, to be frank, is I believe we need to increase the density on this lot. I believe we need structured parking downtown, and I think we should look to how we as a city can make this project the best project that it can be. That's a completely separate conversation from the item that is before us, which is adopting student housing in downtown Tallahassee. But I do encourage, if there's suggestions from my colleagues to make Tallahassee, downtown Tallahassee more presentable, we definitely would love to hear your input as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor.
Sure. Commissioner Williams-Cox.
I agree with you, Commissioner Matlow, that this is a sale, but the proposal provided a bird's eye view of what they plan to put there, and I think that it is incumbent upon us to, and it was used to perform an evaluation. That should not be changing prior to the sale. That's the point that I'm trying to make, that buy it first, and then if you want to do some modifications, make some modifications. But to have spoken to a couple of us, and I'll say that I did get a call also from Ed Murray, but we didn't talk about anything like this. So I'm just surprised that there's been some additional conversation with the developer themselves, as opposed to just a purchase of this property. I too wanted to be engaged. I like those dollars that we can get back on the tax rolls to be used for city services. I'm just talking about some of us have had a conversation with the developer and some of us have not, and that puts us in a imbalance. And so I'm thinking you've provided some information, and you're going to make sure that the developer understands that this might have been a misstep, and that the others who bid it did not get that, they were not afforded that opportunity to do this. So I just want to make sure we have a fair process, and what is before us, and what was before the committee, the group who did the evaluation, is what is brought before us to consider for the sale going forward. So that's where I am. I don't like being left out.
Yeah, Commissioner, I will absolutely reach out to your office to schedule a meeting with my client. And again, I will reach out to all of you to schedule that meeting.
That'd be great. So the way how I see it, I do think that it goes through. I mean, the process was not flawed. There has not been a challenge formally to the process. And so legally, Madam Attorney, if we did not approve it, it's not like we can just pull somebody up. We'd have to toss all the bids and start completely over.
Likely, yes.
So that is really the question before us. Having said that, I think it's been made very clear that it was a little unorthodox for a couple of members of the commission. And you know what? I'm going to assume that you probably didn't even know what was going on this afternoon.
I hear you loud and clear, Mr. Mayor.
I'm going to leave it right at that. But yeah, it's just a little unorthodox. It does bring up some very interesting questions, Commissioner Matlow, and I do agree that we need to have these conversations, because as the mayor of Tallahassee, I am not going to just forego our responsibility of design standards in downtown and hand it over to the Downtown Improvement Authority. That will not happen as long as I'm mayor. They can make their suggestions. They could be a part of it. But the final process is with the city of Tallahassee moving forward, and we do need to work together. And I will tell you, for instance, respectfully, one thing that I do disagree, you mentioned that you think we've done a poor job with public space and green space in downtown, and I think we've done a pretty good job. So we do have some differences maybe on how downtown looks and the approach to it, so it is important that we have this bigger conversation. But for the purposes of tonight and the agenda item before us, I'm going to make the motion for approval, and I think this has been a healthy discussion on this item.
Second.
It might, by the way, checking in with the attorney one more time. Again, short of a flaw in the process legally, there's not in short of a formal.
Typically, the reason the commission would not approve something like this is because of a flaw in the process. Yes, that's true.
Okay. All right. So motion stands. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem. Any further discussion? Commissioner Matlow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And there's a lot of great green spaces downtown, but for the 2 miles between Doak Campbell Stadium and Cascades Park, there's only one public park green space, and that's Burnett Park. You know, I think if you really want to encourage people to open up these pedestrian corridors, you would have places for the public to stop. We did a great job on FAMU Way. You can look at the amount of incremental green spaces along FAMU Way. Gain Street is different. I do think we should have incorporated them. I think we should have incorporated them on the last property that we sold on Gain Street as well. I'm a bit confused about the conversation we're having today. Typically, when there's an agenda item and there's a business or a neighborhood of concern, I always reach out to the community and to the person presenting it to make sure the neighborhood's concern is met. That's constituent services. You know, the developer did not reach out to me. I reached out to them, particularly because I wanted to know my answers. I encourage all of the commissioners, if they have questions and concerns about a project, to do the same and then bring those concerns to this body in a public meeting so we can discuss them. I will say, I don't support the motion on the table. I don't think we should give the city manager the authority to negotiate with the second-ranked buyer if the first doesn't fall through. I believe that's Florida State University for $8 million with no clear indication of what they would build. These are two critical downtown lots. These lots will determine the future of what our downtown looks like. I'm not quite sure where the hostility is coming from, Mr. Mayor. We should be able to have a collegial conversation about the future of downtown, but I will say what we build on these two sites are going to define the future of how downtown grows in the next 20, 30 years, and we should be very intentional about it. Thank you.
No hostility, but I too am just as curious about the conversation that we're having. Usually in the rules of procedure and engagement, there is a cone of silence that takes place while the process is being conducted. I am not assuming or alluding that anything did or did not take place, and there's no proof that it did. It's just, this is all very new to me in the past hour before the meeting took place, and I always tend not to engage before these items. I do intend to support the item on the table, short of a flaw in the process or a formal challenge that's before us today. Any further comment? Commissioner Porter.
Thank you. I would just like to make a substitute motion that we move forward, but that if this falls through, that it come back to us rather than designating the city manager to negotiate and execute a sale with the second-ranked proposal.
So the motion on the table is that if it falls through, that it would come back to us instead of negotiating with the second.
Yes.
Okay, before I entertain a second to the motion, I got a question of clarification, Madam Attorney. If the number one fell through, can we just skip number two and have it come back to us and we pick where we want to go? Or do we need to, at that point, throw out all the bids and start over again? So number one falls through. The motion is to skip number two and have it come back to us. So instead of directly negotiating, have it come back to us.
Yes.
You can do that?
Yes, I don't think there's any obligation to negotiate with the second ranked. I do think it would probably result in a new process, though, a new RFP and a new procurement process.
Commissioner Porter, I would agree with you on that if you would agree to, let's just start the process over again if the first one falls through and just take bids, and just to have a clean start and start over if the first one is not negotiated.
Sure.
Now, I have no reason to believe that it will not be. I think we're going to execute and we're going to be just fine. But the substitute motion on the table made by Commissioner Porter is that, heaven forbid, something comes up and it doesn't work out, that then we will begin the process all over again by putting it out to RFP for a clean slate. Okay. Is there a second to Commissioner Porter's motion?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Matlow.
Just a question, Mayor, Mr. City Manager, have we ever done this before? Would this be precedent setting in that regard?
No, sir, I don't think it would. This is certainly within the realm of possibility. We oftentimes make a recommendation for just administrative efficiency, if for whatever reason we can't, finish the negotiation and agree to terms with the highest ranked proposer, then we'll move to the next, but it's totally within structure, not an issue at all. If we chose to, redo it or bring it back to the commission, that's all totally workable, and I wouldn't have any concern with that.
Commissioner Porter's motion, substitute motion on the table is to approve the recommended option while striking the language authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a sale with the second-ranked proposal if the first rank falls through, and it would just begin the process all over again. Are we, in that seconded by Commissioner Matlow, are we in agreement? Everybody understand the motion on the table? All right, Commissioner Matlow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just for clarity on the process, we did not put these properties out for an RFP process that had an RFP scoring committee with the city. We set up a process to give this to a realtor to essentially solicit bids. Is that correct?
Mr. Mayor, it wasn't an RFP process as we typically would know it. We've had some experience in the past. You heard from Mark Bedoin with TLG, where we've used a broker to, get more proposals as opposed to just just put out an RFP and hope for the best. And so they were able to kind of, engage with the market, make sure people could propose that may wish to propose. They could help guide them through that. And so we used that process. But the proposals were submitted with the idea that they would be evaluated based on what was submitted. And I think that's the nature of the discussion today. Not we submit it and then somehow change it and try to garner something different. It was, these were evaluated by the broker along with city staff, real estate staff, based on the merits of their proposal. In fact, Mark listed kind of the categories that were really prioritized: past experience, closing date, price, these kind of things. And so that's the process we use. That was what the City Commission approved in November when we initiated this. And it was based on some prior experience we had that really was productive. I think it was productive here again because you did get a lot of proposals. They probably reflected what the market is. In this case, 908 has a hotel, which was different. It was somewhat unique, and I think that's probably good, as well as the highest price. But it's something we've done in the past. It worked, and that's how we did it this time.
Okay, thank you. I was just hearing terms RFP. I heard cone of silence. That's not applicable to this vote today, Madam Attorney.
If you want to split hairs. All those in favor of the substitute motion on the table, seconded by Commissioner Matlow, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
And passes 4-1 with Commissioner Williams-Cox in a dissent. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right, we are on item number 12.03. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This came up at your last meeting. You asked for an informational item regarding the Southwood DRI. And so staff has prepared an update informational report for your benefit in your agenda materials. John Reddick is our growth management director. He's one of the leads on this. He's worked closely with the city attorney's office, of course. And I think it'd be productive for John just to kind of give us a thumbnail sketch of the current status. And again, this is not for action, but for information after your last meeting. John, if you'll give us an update.
Sure, thank you, and good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm going to run briefly through a number of items that were in the agenda item itself, but I think it's important to set the stage for the conversation we're having. The Southwood DRI, we're now 27 years into it, into its implementation, adopted in 1999. It is approaching its full build-out when you look at the total land area and the remaining entitlements. It has led many lives through its duration. It's had 20 amendments. That includes what you approved at your February meeting, which was subsequently approved at the county level last night at their meeting. And so all to say is it's had a lot of, required a lot of adjustments and changes through various real estate market conditions and other changes to whatever the circumstances are to actually be able to develop the DRI. Within it, the main, I think, topic of interest is this schedule of internal roadway improvements. That was incorporated into the DRI in 2011. There were other obligations prior to that, but what this did is actually it set a broken out a priority list and timing of priority for the roadway improvements within the DRI. I think it's important to recognize that even since that adoption, this schedule of roadway improvements, the dates within this have been adjusted multiple times. Most recently in 2024 with the 10th Amendment. You can see, I've listed out here, and it's also referenced in the agenda item, there are some segments that are fully complete their obligation. They've fulfilled their obligation to construct those roadway networks. 4 Oaks Boulevard is an example of that. And there are some that are, I've seen the majority of their segments completed and have still some outstanding segments to be completed. There are some that are actively being pursued to be constructed right now. We have an application in, which I think is also referenced in your agenda item, in the southwest portion of the DRI that would build another required segment of Merchants Row Boulevard adjacent to or in conjunction with a subdivision, residential subdivision in that area. And that's important to recognize that we have historically, these roadway segments have been constructed a number of ways. In some instances, it has been the developer themselves just outright doing a roadway segment. I think what we've seen the majority of the time is roadway segments tied into a larger residential subdivision. So it's bundled in for a larger site development. I think for 4 Oaks Boulevard we had 3 or 4 different plats that helped complete that roadway network, or that roadway segment. And all to say, it's not always even St. Joe who may be doing that as the master developer. They've had other instances where they're selling a tract to a separate entity who is taking on that obligation and building that roadway segment and the adjacent plat all in one. So multiple patterns or multiple paths to getting this completed over time. I think when you look at the most recent, I'll say over the last 10 years of how this has been implemented, that is what we would expect moving forward for this, is for those remaining roadway segments, is to see them completed with a larger build out of those tracks that either run through it or adjacent to those corridors. I know of particular interest, so the figure that I'm showing here is in blue. You'll see the remaining segments that need to be built as part of this, the development order, the integrated development order. As I mentioned, there's a portion of Merchants Row extension in that southwest area that is under permit review right now. There is, I believe, in a design phase of the Artemis Way extension. And there's been a lot of conversation, as you're aware, of the Biltmore extension to Appalachia Parkway from Orange Avenue, and that portion of, I'll say, under-improved Orange Avenue tying into Southwood Plantation Road. I will touch on the recent or the late addition to the agenda item, which is the governor's executive order, which granted the developer here the ability to extend their build-out obligations for the roadway network. That is, these government extensions are not something that is new to us in growth management or in the city attorney's office, especially that they're associated with emergency declarations that going back to really Hermine and on from there, where the city of Tallahassee seemed to experience a relatively high rate of them. And it left us in a posture of routinely approving extensions for permits. And as we move forward, I'll use the term permit broadly to include, say, a development order or any other obligations or permitted activity. So we have dozens and dozens of environmental management permits, for example, that we issue these extensions for on a regular basis as the governor either instates them or extends them. The one in question that St. Joe has utilized to be able to extend these dates is with regards to the 2024 tornadoes. There's also an active one for Hurricane Helene in this area that permit holders can utilize. And all to say, with these extensions, for example, we have active permits that legally through statute, permit holders that have been able to utilize that go back to 2017. So we have active permits that are almost 10 years old as a result of these. Now, this has been a challenge for local governments statewide, but to manage this, and thankfully in 2023, there's a cap on 4 years worth of extensions now that can be utilized. So that does apply, and we've applied this retroactively to expired permits, for example, based on the way that law reads, and that's several years ago in consultation with the city attorney's office to make sure we're interpreting and applying that correctly, that if it was an active permit at the time of that emergency declaration, then they are eligible to be able to retroactively utilize that even if their permit has expired. I'll leave it there for any questions or further conversation. I wanted to touch at a high level really of what I think the pertinent issue is that's being discussed and be available for questions.
John, let's put this down on a very basic level. Okay? Information item came before us. You're here telling us that there are some obligations that were not met that the neighborhood is all upset about, trying to figure out when they're going to do it, who's going to be responsible. In the meantime, since we brought this up last month and come back, we got an executive order from the governor's office that gives basically puts a blanket on all of our decision-making power here locally and gives them an extension. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So, Madam Attorney, what is there, say this board was in complete uproar and wanted to figure something to be done. Is there something that can be done with now the executive order being issued, or does the...
Mr. Mayor, if it's okay, I'd like to ask Deputy City Attorney Lou Norvell to answer the legal questions here.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Norvell.
So, Mr. Mayor, under the state law, there's a couple of different components here. There's a tolling, which stops the clock. It's retroactive. We're going to look back to May of '24. So because of the tolling, there was never a default here, or they didn't miss the deadline. So what growth management is doing here is just calculating. So the clock stopped while the emergency declaration is in effect. And if the developer has not utilized the available extensions, then state law provides an extension, I believe, an additional 24 months for this specific roadway improvements. But this is by operation of law. It's granted to them by the state legislature.
So, Lou, again, on a basic level, what you're saying is that because of this emergency order, there is no action that can be taken by the city of Tallahassee.
So on these roadway deadlines, there was never a default. They get an extension by operation of law. So yes, there's nothing you can do on these roadway build-out dates.
Okay, hold on. Commissioner Porter, yes, you got questions, and then we will see, do we have public comment on this item?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then we'll go from there. But questions for the attorney, Commissioner Porter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And these questions are for either Lou or John, whoever. Have we had requests for extensions or tolling from St. Joe before?
Yeah. Yes, Commissioner, we have had for other, either for the ultimate build-out date of the development order or, for example, for their concurrency payment schedule. I will say historically, for the roadway completion schedule, that has been, whether it's a timing of when they're evaluating wanting to push these dates out or otherwise, that has always been discussed and extended through commission action rather than utilizing those governor's extensions.
Okay, so it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, have we ever applied the tolling of the extension to the internal build-out deadlines? Because it sounds like we haven't.
Correct, we have not done it to the internal roadway build-out.
Okay.
Yep.
And why is that?
That's, the onus is on the developer to request that, or invoke is probably a better word, because it's not necessarily, when they provide those to us, it's not necessarily a local government's duty to accept or deny. So it's an informational, essentially, and then we acknowledge it. So all to say, they have not utilized that with us yet.
Okay, so for Orange Avenue and Biltmore, we have historically treated those as not being subject to those extensions. We've treated them differently because St. Joe has never applied.
That's correct. And again, I'll say to be from the city side. I mean, we were very intentional last time we renegotiated those dates to make them more clearly enforceable, to have a stepped process of your commencing and then your completing construction, where we had a better handle on it, to say, I'll say, it's not our job to advertise to them that they get to use these tools to their advantage. It is very much, we're going to leave that, and that's beyond St. Joe's. We deal with this with permits in general. We're going to work to our best interest to try to get these roadways built out. We know what the priorities are, and certainly sympathetic to what we've heard and coordinated with in the neighborhood. So all to say, we have very much kept it trying to work towards the priorities that we understand there to be and that you've adopted in the past. That's why you see Biltmore and this Orange Avenue segment top of the list in terms of timing to get done. So all to say is we've tried to keep it where we're operating at the priority that we hear and not offer up for them to be able to utilize that extension.
Okay, thank you. So we've all been sent, I assume, pictures. I'm sure you've seen the pictures of the road. I mean, the temporary road is unsafe. That seems clear to me. Has the city given notice to the developer that the road is unsafe?
I won't say that we've said that it's unsafe. I don't know that we've used that terminology. I understand that our UUPI team has been in coordination with and informing the developer of their obligation to maintain and improve that road. But anyways, all to say, the specific term unsafe, I don't know if we've said that.
Okay. So is there a different term we use? I'm just curious. Like, is there a specific?
I'll just say generally that they've informed that it requires maintenance.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. When did that happen? Do we know the last time that happened or how many times that's happened?
I don't know the last time that happened.
Okay. Is that not, obviously I'm not an attorney, this issue is new to me, as was the letter from St. Joe, but I did a little bit of research. I mean, is health and safety not a carve-out to the extension? And maybe that's a legal question, but that was my understanding, that there are certain carve-outs that could apply here.
So, Commissioner, the state law does include a provision that this extension section does not prevent the city from requiring a property to be maintained in a safe and secure condition.
Okay.
And I can add to that.
Sure.
I think it'll be, to clarify, I think what you're at, and put a distinction between two things. The extension is for the full improvement to the I'll say, the elevated level of design that Orange Avenue is ultimately envisioned for that segment. I don't think the extension is for routine maintenance requirements. I think there's still an obligation to keep that roadway maintained from the developer. It's just a matter of at what time do they actually have to go from this, I'll say, limited design to the full typical section that's in the DRI.
Okay. And prior to this letter we received, did we consider the developer to be in default of any other provisions of the development order?
Not that I'm aware of. It's certainly not in notifying them that they were in default of anything or in violation of any other parts of it.
Okay, so is it our position at this point that, I mean, what are we doing, what can we do at the very least for the health and safety concern that sounds like we have attempted to address? I'm not sure do we know what the developer has done in response to our urging them to address some maintenance issues?
Sure, and I'll just say again, that is Rob McGarrett and his team at UPI have kind of taken the lead on that direct coordination. I think they've assisted in trying to keep it maintained to some drivable level in the past. I know it's been upgraded and perhaps in the fall is the last time that occurred. So there is an ongoing, as far as I'm aware, there's an ongoing conversation to try to get that and maintained and keep it maintained. That's the best I could say in terms of speaking on behalf of another department.
Okay, thank you. And Madam Attorney, I'm not sure if you had the chance to review an email that I forwarded to you that I believe some of it received from Mr. Ray about this, including Florida Statute 252, 3611, 3631. You know what I'm talking about?
I received it just prior to coming down here for this meeting, but I think I know what the issue is that's raised in it. Again, I'd ask Deputy City Attorney Lou Norvell to speak to that.
Okay, and are you familiar with this email?
So Commissioner, I've seen an email. If I understand it, Mr. Ray is asserting that there was a default for failure to build the road by the deadline that's set out in the development order. And as we discussed earlier, because the tolling will relate back, the developer actually did not miss this deadline. So that Mr. Ray's contention that there was a default would not be correct.
Okay, so could you help me understand, and I'm only looking at what was sent to me, I don't have the whole statute, but it says, subsection D, this subsection does not apply to, and then number 3 is the holder of a permit or authorization who's been determined by the authorizing agency to be in significant noncompliance. And I do think that, and although we have not issued a warning letter or notice of violation, as far as I know, it's evidence from the conversations we've had that they have not built the road that they promised they would build. So the plain reading, just to me as a non-lawyer, looks like this section doesn't apply if they'd already been found to be in non-compliance.
So Commissioner, couple of different components of this section that you're referring to. Again, there has to be non-compliance with the conditions of a permit, and by operation of law, here the developer gets an extension through state law. And then secondly, according to growth management, there has not been the issuance of a warning letter or notice of violation. So this section does not apply.
Okay.
On point, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Commissioner Matlow.
Thank you, and thank you, Lou. So in my reading, it says the issuance of a warning letter or notice of violation, the initiation of formal enforcement, or an equivalent action. The action we took at our last meeting seems to be what spurred this exemption to be claimed. It seems like the plain reading of the law is you can't claim the exemption because you realize you're about to get into trouble.
So Commissioner, again, this is an act of the Florida legislature. This section actually lets the developer give this notice. I believe it's even after the expiration of the declaration of emergency. So it can, the developer, it's not even a request. The developer gives the government notice within 90 days after, or up to 90 days after the termination of the emergency declaration, and the law just gives them more time. So they did not miss a deadline by operation of this statute.
So in your opinion, what we did at the last meeting was not the initiation of formal enforcement or an equivalent action?
So, Commissioner, if my recall is that the commission asked for this information item or an exploration of the options to come back. So to my understanding, there was not a notice of violation or a warning issue that was issued, and it doesn't even matter because by operation of law, they were not in non-compliance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Let's get to public comment.
Yes, sir.
How many people do we have on this?
Maybe we've got 7 or 8 speakers on the item. And the first is Liz Miller. Second will be Lisa Alcorn. Speakers will have 3 minutes for remarks. I'll give you a heads up at 30 seconds, as will the light in front of the mayor turn yellow at 30 seconds.
Your name and address for the record, please.
Liz Miller, and I reside at 2540 Lantana Lane, Tallahassee, Florida, 32311, which is in the neighborhood of Southwood. So thank you for having me, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. I'd like to talk a little bit about, everybody has been discussing that it's not safe and that it's the neighborhood that is the one, complaining. But, I would beg to differ that the Orange Avenue extension is crucial to the city of Tallahassee. It's not just for the Southwood residents. It's actually being used as a primary roadway from the south side of Tallahassee to Appalachia Parkway via Southwood Plantation Road. This specific portion of Orange Avenue, which is referred to as the extension, is also primarily used by the parents of approximately 700 students who attend Conley Elementary School. Conley Elementary is addressed on Orange Avenue, and the majority of the school zone for Conley Elementary is from Blairstone all the way out to Cap Tram Road, which is, I wasn't familiar with, but on the other side of Capitola. So basically what I'm saying is twice a day, you have a lot of parents, right, coming from that side of town. They are not driving all the way to Capitol Circle, taking a left, and then coming in the nice part of Orange Avenue. They're just not, okay? So where they are driving, that is being used as a major roadway. It is deteriorating, it's unsafe, and it's my understanding that it wasn't meant to be a major commuter, but that's what it's become. I'm also saying to please not extend or grant St. Joe's request as it pertains to the statute. So like you all, I had 12 hours to familiarize myself with Florida statute, so I tried to do the best I can. I am a little bit familiar with emergency management and the governor's executive orders, but I do believe that just because they were not noticed by this body or this authority, they were in violation by not completing, so not starting, completing the Orange Avenue extension by December 2025.
You're at 30 seconds remaining.
So basically what I would say to you is I do not think that they qualify to use the governor's executive order. And so I would, ask that you consider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Lisa Alcorn is our next speaker, followed by John Sewell.
Good afternoon. Your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Lisa Alcorn, and I live at 3571 Mossy Creek Lane in Southwood. I just want to say I have been the HOA president of Southwood from 2023 to 2025. And I just want to also mention that this has been an ongoing issue that we've been dealing with throughout the whole time that I was the president of Southwood, of the HOA. In 2024, we've had the pleasure to meet with Mayor Daley and a lot of the commissioners, and we addressed our concerns at that time. We've also had many calls with St. Joe regarding the roads in Orange Avenue. 2024 to now, here we are, 2026, and I can say nothing has been done, right? And when we go back and listen to their reasons, the reasons are there's been storm delays, which we all recognize there have been storm delays. We also recognize from 2024 to 2026, Southwood has grown, and it continues to grow. We have another major storm come through. We have got to have our roads in working condition to allow our residents to safely evacuate our area. Right now, the road, again, we've had nothing done on this road over the years. It is falling apart. It doesn't look like there's even been an attempt over the years to maintain or improve that section of the road. And so we really have got to, we've got to put the pedal on the metal and really hold St. Joe accountable for completing our roads and doing a service to all of the residents within Southwood. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, and thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, and thank you for serving your neighborhood in that capacity. I've been the neighborhood association president in my neighborhood for 30 years now. So
I drew the short straw, I think.
right.
I was gonna say, don't scare her.
Mr. Clerk, the next speaker.
Next speaker is John Sewell, and then John Ray.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. John Sewell. I live at 4114 Faulkner Lane. I've lived there since 2012. I'm a retired transportation planner. I'm also an avid cyclist, and I've been a member of the cycling community here for the last 30 years. I want to go back to a point that Commissioner Porter made earlier about the disrepair, and I want to be real clear about this. It's way beyond disrepair. Okay, I want to be clear about this. Southwood Plantation Road from Biltmore to Old St. Augustine Road, and then from St. Augustine Road to Appalachie Parkway, does not have any bicycle facilities. And the section from Old St. Augustine Road to Appalachie Parkway isn't even safe for a car. The woman said earlier about all the traffic going to Florida High. That traffic is intense in the mornings and the afternoons. We travel up, dozens and dozens of cyclists travel up and down that corridor every day. We have a right to do that. It's an open transportation facility. The road is so poorly maintained. I wouldn't even say it's maintained. There are potholes there that are half a foot deep. You don't want to drive your car on them. Imagine riding your bike on that. It is unsafe. And due to the topography of it, there are sections there where we have to ride very slowly, and they're on blind corners. And I think it's time for the developer to do the right thing and honor their commitments. And I wish that I could not pay my bills, but I got to pay my bills. Given the fact that they're having money issues or whatever the reason is, the clever tactic of using the governor's executive order, that's a misuse of that for this purpose, I would submit. But that said, I think that the city commission does have some power moving forward into the future. And one thing I would suggest is let's talk to the developer and check and see if there's a good faith effort on their part. We have 2 years that it looks like we're going to have to sit around on our hands and kick the can down the road again. This is another delay. Why don't we ask the developer to move forward and move forward with survey and design? That'll take about 1.5 years. And by the time this 2-year moratorium is up, we can move forward with construction. So with that, I just want to thank you for your time, but just remember, there are people's lives on this decision, and it's time to stop kicking the can down the road. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker, Mr. Clerk.
Next speaker is John Ray, followed by Graham Elliott.
Good afternoon. John Ray, 3639 Mossy Creek Lane.
Thank you.
I'm a 20-year resident of Southwood, 20-year volunteer of the neighborhood, and I lead the land use and zoning team of our neighbors, fighting for the roads that we were promised, that are articulated in our development order. I agree with 0% of the characterizations and the interpretations that were just described by these gentlemen. I thought I was going to come talk about this road. It is beyond ridiculous that this serves as a minor arterial road in the city of Tallahassee. But that's what this does. St. Joe was supposed to make this a real road by January 1st, and they did nothing. They did more than nothing. They ignored you. They ignored us. They told us to go pound sand. They didn't return our phone calls. I have never experienced so much deep bad faith and obfuscation from a developer in my entire life, and I've been dealing with them for 20 years. I've been at the table for every renegotiation of the development order since its inception. So the magic letter shows up 2 days ago. The magic letter claiming to exercise a statutory right for 2 more years. God knows we need to give them 2 more years. On January 1st of this year, objectively, they stood in significant noncompliance of our development order, period. They are a violator. I will say it. St. Joe is a violator of our development order. They are in significant noncompliance of our development order. I will say it objectively. It is a fact. It's an undisputed truth. The magic letter exercises a statute that they're not even eligible for. How do you cure your eligibility by exercising a statute that you don't have access to? The lawyer here says it just operationalize. You can't operationalize a statute that you don't have access to. It's a circular argument. It is flawed legal argument. On March 6th, St. Joe was in significant violation of the development order.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
And under the statute, it says, this subsection shall not apply to people who are in substantial noncompliance of the development order. Just because they want to operationalize it and exercise their extension does not cure their initial ineligibility. They can't access a statute that they're not entitled to. What you need to do is reject this interpretation, pass a notice of violation.
3 minutes.
Let's get on with sanctions. St. Joe,
Your time's expired.
St. Joe will not change their behavior unless you sanction them. That's the facts.
You're at 3
Please
minutes.
support
Thank you.
Southwood.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, who's our next speaker?
Graham Elliott. Graham Elliott, followed by Virginia Bell.
All right, Mr. Elliott, you give us your name and address. For the record, you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Mayor Daley, City Commissioners. Thank you, my fellow citizens. Graham Elliott, 3984 Grove Park Drive in Southwood. I've been there about 10 years. I've been in Florida about 30 years, and you're all wondering where's that accent come from. It comes from New Zealand, the first country to give suffrage to women in 1893. So I'm concerned for this large picture of what are we messing around for? I know nothing about the law. I know an awful lot about corruption. I've worked in the Middle East a dozen years. I was 2 years in Iraq. I saw people get shot. I see the seeds of this corrosive behavior in allowing our city leaders, our developers such as St. Joe, second largest landowner in the state, to try to pull the wool over your eyes. They have done it before. In construction, they do not put siding on a number of the homes, including mine, in accordance with the code, and it took them only 15 years to rectify it. And the initial cry, of course, was immediately special assessment. Oh, you shall pay. This is your home. We did it. This is your home. They gave 15-year mortgages for $38,000 to 80-year-olds. In my case, a 70-year-old, I would have paid it off when I was 93. I went to Iraq and got shot at a lot to pay off my mortgages, and I don't appreciate the people who are the developers in my organization for giving me another mortgage. So are they unethical? I would have to say so. Are they greedy? I don't really know. But I have seen them make these claims that they shall not pay, we shall. Are they in significant violation of the development order? I really do not know. But I have seen them act in ways that I would weep not to do. I would never. And I would imagine that the great majority of us would never act in this, I think, scofflaw manner. So your earnest, analytical, complex adjustment of this is greatly needed. However we engineer it, it just needs to be taken care of because St. Joe is not acting as a good citizen. Ladies and gentlemen, commissioners, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott.
Virginia Bell is our next speaker, and then Michael Glantz.
All right, Ms. Bell, if you give your name and address for the record, please, we will have 3 minutes.
Hello. My name is Virginia Bell, and I reside at 2558 Twain Drive. I've been a resident of Southwood for 14 years. This issue is not complicated. A deal was struck by the City of Tallahassee over 25 years ago, and these promises have not been fulfilled for no good reason. Lots of excuses. We've heard them time and time again, and now we're asking you to step in and hold St. Joe accountable. For years, our community has acted in good faith, and we have trusted that commitments tied to the development in our neighborhood would be honored. At what point does a large publicly traded company like the St. Joe Company become accountable for the commitments that they have made? This is about honoring agreements. It seems to me like it's a slam dunk for all of you to show the residents of Tallahassee that you have our back. Infrastructure commitments were part of a broader development approvals. Residents made personal and financial decisions based on those assurances, and it is not acceptable for obligations to be ignored when they become inconvenient. That's all this is. I see it as St. Joe taking advantage of the executive order and manipulating it. I think that this executive order was issued to assist those that are actually facing hardships due to the tornadoes. I do not consider St. Joe to be part of that equation. And I also see it that they've also already been granted an extension that should have been completed by now. And as one of my neighbors mentioned before, by the time they even complete the surveying portion, we're going to be a year and a half down the road. As a parent in Southwood, my children attend Conley and Florida High, so I can attest to what my neighbors have said here, that many, many families bring their children through their school buses. It is dangerous, and quite frankly, it's embarrassing that it's been allowed to go on this long, and we deserve better. Families are busy working, raising children, and contributing to this city. We should not have to organize petitions just to ensure that agreements are enforced. It's not a fair fight between individual homeowners and a company like St. Joe Company, and that is why we're coming to you to stand up for us. Many residents are just now learning about the issue, and the number of signatures gathered in a short time reflects deep concern. As more neighbors become informed of this, expectations for actions will grow and righteous outrage will develop. This is not new to us, and people want to feel that their local government is advocating for them and that our voices are being heard. In closing, residents should not have to fight to receive what was already agreed to. We are asking for fairness, accountability, and leadership. Tallahassee is a city that prides itself on community and integrity, and today is an opportunity for each of you to put those principles into action. I ask you to stand with the residents you represent and ensure that these commitments to our neighborhood are honored, and to deny the petition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. Our next speaker, Mr. Clerk.
Michael Glantz, and then Josh Casper will be our last speaker on the item.
Okay. Is that Glantz?
Glantz. Michael Glantz, 3781 Chanticleer Court.
Okay.
I've lived in Southwood for roughly a decade with my wife and two sons, both of which attended and attend Florida High. I want to say thank you for hearing us on this issue. I know that this is contentious. I will say from the outset, I respect this commission and the way you guys go through difficult issues, but I'm sorry, this is not a difficult issue. This is a very simple issue. Somebody's not doing what they said they were going to do, and they've done it repeatedly for years. And the residents of Southwood are tired of it, frankly. I want to talk to, I want to talk to four basic issues. The safety issue, I think that there's also an environmental concern with this road at Orange Avenue, fundamental fairness, and precedence. As to safety, this road is as wide as the walking paths that go around our lakes and through our neighborhood when it splits into two lanes, which means cars are driving on it. There's no striping, there's no bike lane. Cars are driving on it, and they're literally ruining the edges of the road going around potholes. So the entire thing, it disintegrates. It seems as if this slapdash effort of throwing some mud in a hole, St. Joe's seems to think that's okay, and it's not. It's not working. As to the environmental concerns, there's no curbage, there's no curbs on this road, which means that whatever road waste, whatever oil, whatever is on the road is flowing, for the most part, correct me if I'm wrong, Southwood slopes from the north to the south. That's the way it was built. That's the way the water treatment works. There's a retention pond less than 50 yards away from this road. So things are running off into that retention pond and eventually making it into the water supply. That's a whole other issue as to why this needs to be done. Not only be done, but be done sooner rather than later. As far as fundamental fairness, come on. This idea that a deadline can pass for something you're obligated to do, and then you can declare you're going to get a reprieve based on a statute that wasn't available to them, is
You have 30
atrocious
seconds remaining.
and silly. And this is not a silly commission. I don't agree with what the lawyer said, but this is a serious issue. You're serious people. It needs to be dealt with. I wish it was dealt with today. The last thing I'll say in closing is about precedent, which has to do with, we really want developers to know that we're going to roll over in this fashion repeatedly. I don't want them to know that, because that's going to mean a different city, and I don't want to live in that
You're
city.
at 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Glenn.
Next speaker, please.
Josh Casper. Mayor, that's the last speaker I have.
Name and address for the record, please.
Josh Casper, 2590 Southwood Plantation Road. I think I'm the only house surrounded by Southwood on Southwood Plantation Road. I think a lot's been said. I think they're all good points. I think the most important thing to focus on is the safety aspect. If the tolling and the timeframes are extended, safety is still a major concern, and it's relatively easy to go back and require that the repairs are done so that the road is safe. That's all.
Any other speakers?
No, sir.
Okay. It's an information item. There is no recommendation, but let's open it up for discussion. Direction. Mayor Pro Tem.
Question, first of all, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Attorney, what would be the consequence for the city if we ignored the state statute or the governor's?
So, Commissioner, this is a right that is granted to them by state law. Under the state procedure, they actually give us notice. It's not a request. If you don't recognize it, they can go to the courthouse and then get a judge to recognize it.
Yes. Commissioner Williams-Cox.
Good.
Yeah. Lot going on across the street at the legislature, folks. Sorry about that. I had to sneak off the dais real quick.
Okay.
Commissioner Williams-Cox.
I just, first of all, and I'm not patronizing, I'm saying thank you for coming in, and thank you for the communications and conversations that I've had. I actually drove out there and did a field trip to actually see for myself what was going on. And I agree with you. I agree with you that this should have been done. It should have been done. I also agree with you, and Mr. Ray, I called you once this letter was added to the agenda to let you know that it had been added. I don't want to use the term I used with you, but I was floored that in the 11th hour, this letter came. And I understand you all have been trying to talk to them for a long time with no response. To me, that is irresponsible. There should have been a response. And if this letter was to be, if they were going to use this, they should have used it a year and a half ago when you all first started with this. This should not have come, once this became an agenda item and 2 days later. I really don't appreciate it. I would not want that to happen in my neighborhood either. And it should not happen in this community. What can we do? I'm looking for. I hear what we're being told that we cannot do it. If we do this, this is going to happen. Or that is going to happen. But what can we do? What are some options, Mr. Reddick, Mr. Attorney? What are some things that we can do to let St. Joe, I know they're probably listening, but let them know that this ain't right. This just ain't right.
Sure. I'll speak to again, to the maintenance aspect of that stretch of Orange Avenue. That, again, is a part of a separate agreement. That their obligation, when you look at a date that would have been extended, was to actually build that. I think that was in 2011 when that agreement was signed. So at this point, this is just a maintenance issue that for the developer who is committed to that obligation. It is not a matter of this, this statutory extension. So I'll say that's a conversation to be had directly with St. Joe about improving the road to make it safely drivable. What, in terms of any, enforceable action on that, I would look to the city attorney for that, because I'm not sure that it specifies in that separate agreement specifically of how we'd proceed on that if they were, say, unresponsive, for example. But beyond that, recognizing the added time to actually do the build out of these roadway segments, those that have not been commenced or completed, that's a matter of us. I'll say the good news is that momentum continues for the full build out of these undeveloped tracts. Currently, it's the focus is in that southwest portion of the DRI for the main part, but there are a lot of other I'll say a lot of due diligence through our office being done to continue to see the full build out of these northern tracts as well. And regardless of whether it's a 4-year extension or 2-year extension, whatever their new timeline may be, as these areas develop, our expectation is that they're incorporating these segments into these phases just as we've done historically for all of these other roadways, right? So it may be, if there's, so from my office's standpoint, it's a matter of working diligently to see if there's interest in efforts to pursue development of these tracks that these roadway segments either run through or adjacent to, that we're doing everything we can to make sure that that's feasible and that these segments are incorporated into that. So that may be, whether that may be a year from now. For example, it may not be some extended time period that we're required to sit and wait, if that makes sense.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, if someone is interested in coming to do that development, that this could be possibly incorporated into that development?
Yes, and again, I'll go back to what I mentioned in the presentation of, I think when you look at the last probably 10 years of how this has been developed, that's what is, how this will be achieved ultimately, whether it was within the past year or whether it's going to be in the next 5 years, whatever that timeline is. That's going on right now, again, with a segment of Merchants Row, another obligation in that internal road improvement schedule, and then permitting that segment that's adjacent to and serving that part of a residential subdivision that's being permitted right now.
Okay. And I know that the neighborhood has been contacting St. Joe for a period of time, and to my understanding, they've got no response. Have we reached out to St. Joe?
Yes, I've had conversations with St. Joe about, not about their extension, but request or notification about their upcoming delinquency, I'll say, for their schedule of road improvements, and notifying that was approaching, and their acknowledgement of that. But nothing formal, just conversational in terms of if they have any intent to meet those deadlines, and they were limited in the responsiveness to that and what they'd commit to.
So I guess, and this is my final question. I like their phone number. I'll call them. For real. And have a lot of other folks call them. Because at this point, I understand the governor's executive order, but these residents have waited a long time, and they pay good money for their homes. I know, I watched it grow. And at one time, I have family who lives out there. At one time, my kids went to Florida High. So I've been through there as well. And then, like I said, I went over there and I drove it. That's not how reputable companies operate. That's not good business. And we don't want to encourage that here in the city of Tallahassee. So
I'll get with you to get their phone number. I may not, I may get the same result, but I'm gonna call them. I'm gonna call them anyway. I'm gonna pray first, and then I'm gonna call them. Thank you, John.
Commissioner Porter.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before you sit, just a follow-up. Could you be more specific? I know you said their response was limited, but what has St. Joe communicated about having missed the deadline? And I mean, just a complete disregard of their commitment and the safety of this road.
Sure, and I'm sorry, St. Joe isn't here to speak on their own behalf, but they, just that their expectation is to see these roadways built with the tracks, the undeveloped tracks in those areas like they've done with other segments, and how they envision getting, coming at, at that point, whether it was meeting the obligations to that time, or I guess now they have an extended period, obviously, to do that. But that was their, express response was, we envision these getting built when we are able to do a full build out of these adjacent lands.
Okay, thank you. I want to hear from the rest of my colleagues, so I'm going to wait before making a motion, and I want to thank everyone for answering our questions. I have to say, though, that I don't, from my reading of the statute, recognizing that I am not an attorney, I don't think it is quite as cut and dry as is being presented. I do think that the fact that there are certain exceptions that may apply in this case, at the very least, one about public safety, I think this is worth pursuing. I'm interested in a vote to reject the extension. I think these are the kinds of fights that the City Commission is charged with taking on in order to protect our residents and their health and safety. So I'm not convinced that we don't have a fighting chance moving forward, and I would support moving in that direction.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Porter, you and I agree wholeheartedly on this one. This is ridiculous. I think the neighborhood has been mistreated. They have been certainly patient, and it's time to make this happen. And I can empathize with, to some degree, with what they're going through. As I indicated earlier, I have been in my neighborhood now for 30 years and have been the neighborhood association president during that entire period of time. And we had a street that was a private street, and it was in terrible condition. And it took us 10 years to get to the point where we could deed that property over to the city and get the city to take over the street and maintain it, put in proper lighting and such. And it's just unreasonable that any neighborhood would have to go through that. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And I think it is an opportunity for us to say to St. Joe, this multi-million-dollar corporation, that no, we're not going to continue to allow you to get by with treating our residents this way, especially when the health and safety of our children, and my daughters attended Florida High, and we often had to use this route to get them to school. And so I haven't been out there recently, Commissioner Williams-Cox, but from the pictures I've seen, from the description that I've heard, this is unbelievable. And so I think that even if we have to challenge St. Joe on this issue as a city, then we should do that. And let our residents who pay property taxes, who are involved in this community, know that we're with them on this type of issue. And so I would second your motion, Commissioner Porter, that we challenge St. Joe and not give them the opportunity to take advantage of this extension.
Commissioner Porter, will you please restate your motion for the record?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My motion, if the seconder of the motion supports it, or anyone for that matter, would be that we vote to reject the extension and that we move forward with a notice of violation and applying sanctions as outlined in the development order.
Okay, there's a motion on the table, second by the Mayor Pro Tem. So Lou, what would be the process? We're going to say we're ignoring the governor's executive order. We still think that there's a violation. And so are we taking them to court or?
So, Mr. Mayor, the development order sets out a process where there is a violation. So if the city deems the developer here to be in violation, substantial violation of the development order, the city issues a notice. I believe there's a 15-day response period, and then the development order provides for a public hearing before this commission, where the commission could find them in substantial violation. The development order sets out consequences, including suspension of permitting, if the commission makes that finding of a substantial violation of the development order. Now, whether or not, we'd have to kind of procedurally think through what's going to happen here. I think the city, if I understand the proposal, the city would give notice to St. Joe that it's not recognizing the extension. And truth be told, I'm not exactly sure what that trips procedurally, if you'd go through the violation process or if St. Joe would have the ability to go to the courthouse first.
Thank you. All right, there's a motion on the table and there's a second. Commissioner Matlow, then Commissioner Williams-Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll support the motion on the table. I do believe it comes down to developers just need to do what they say they're going to do. This has gone on for too long. It's embarrassing to have a roadway in that condition in the city of Tallahassee, particularly just a couple blocks from an elementary school, as we constantly urge safe routes to schools. I mean, it's just, it's egregious, frankly. And I think the process as laid out in the development order is clear of how we proceed. You know, even in the letter we received from St. Joe, it says once the permit holder submits its notice of intent to exercise the tolling extension, the extension occurs as a matter of law. So that would mean between January 1st and March 6th, they were in substantial violation until they submitted this letter to begin with. But then the other part of the statute says they actually can't submit the letter because it does not apply to them because enforcement initiation had already began at our last city commission meeting or an equivalent action. I believe that's what we did. I believe that's what we discussed. I believe this meeting was meant to be the first step of the enforcement action. We didn't take complete action at the last meeting, but we initiated a process to start formal inaction by bringing it to this meeting. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. Commissioner Williams-Cox.
I had a question for Lou. So basically what we're saying, Lou, is that we're on our way to court.
For what?
On our way to court.
So, Commissioner, I don't know the answer here. I mean, I would hope that there would be some opportunities for resolution here, but I mean, clearly this is an operation of law. I mean, the statute's not a model of clarity, but to the extent that staff have looked at it, legal's looked at it, and the developer has invoked these rights under law, I mean, it would present an issue.
Okay, well, let's go to court then.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's
That's what we're
do
here
it.
for.
Let's do it.
I disagree. I don't think that's what we're here for, just automatically to go to court. I understand the process. I still am interested in taking one more bite at the apple. I will be more than happy if it's the will of the board to formally sit down on behalf representing the city of Tallahassee, face-to-face with St. Joe, out on property, to do our best to rectify the situation with the intent that if we can't do that, then yes, this is the direction we're heading. But before we just defy the governor's executive order and take them to court, I would appreciate the opportunity for one more, well, I haven't had a formal sit-down yet with St. Joe on this issue. I'd appreciate the opportunity to do so. If that's not the will of the commission, I understand. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Commissioner Matlow, and then I got the Mayor Pro Tem, and then I got Commissioner Williams-Cox, and then I've got the maker of the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I do appreciate your willingness to step in and have those conversations. I do think this is just the beginning of a process, this notice of violation, which would set in place the public hearing that would then come before us. So I think any work can be done between now and that hearing to resolve this mutually would be much appreciated to get it off our desk. But I also don't think a lawsuit, we can't predict what St. Joe is going to do. We're not initiating a lawsuit with St. Joe. We're following the process as laid out in our development order. If they choose to challenge the process we're following, that's on their end. I hope it can just be resolved amicably in the interim. Thank you.
Got it. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I don't want to hurt your feelings,
You're not
Mr.
going to
Mayor.
hurt my feelings. You're not going to hurt my feelings.
But I'm not interested in this going any further in terms of our attempts to try to work with the St. Joe Company. I think the neighborhood has done that. They've been patient. They've reached out to St. Joe with absolutely no response. And I think that was irresponsible of St. Joe. And so, I mean, if we have to go to court, we do. Ideally, they would respond based on what we do here today and get this issue resolved. But at this point, I don't think we should delay this any longer, trying to work with them when the neighborhood has already done it and they've ignored the neighborhood's wishes and desires. And so I'm ready to move forward as of today.
Motion's on the table made by Commissioner Porter, seconded by the Mayor Pro Tem. We've got Commissioner Williams-Cox.
Thank you. I want both of them. I want to move forward, but I want St. Joe to come in person to a public meeting in the neighborhood with the residents and with us. It can be publicly noticed that we're going to be there, and let them face us, all of us, and give us whatever their reasons are. I mean, sending a letter is one thing, but if you believe in your letter, come and defend it. Come to us. But in the meantime, I think we can still move forward with whatever the next step is, and that's to determine what that next step is. But first, to reject the letter, invite them to come. I appreciate you, Mayor, offering to go and fall on the sword for us. But but they need to come and face the residents of Southwood as well as this commission, because they're putting us in a position to defend them or for all of us to fall on the sword for them, and I'm not willing to do that. I think that they need to face the people who they made this disagreement with. So that's what I'm saying. Let's go to the next step and also invite them to a meeting.
Colleagues, I can see where this is going. Let's go ahead and take the vote. All those in favor of Commissioner Porter's motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, aye. Passes 4-1 with the mayor in dissent. Great strategy. Good job. We're on 12.04.
Thank you, Mayor. 12.04 is an item where, through a competitive process, staff has selected Flagstar Bank to finance a $19 million note to fund the construction of a rental car facility. You've previously approved the facility. Again, it was a competitive process. We bring it to you for consideration. I can answer any questions you may have.
Do we have any public comment on this item?
We do not.
Okay, colleagues.
Move staff recommendation, option number 1.
Second.
Been properly moved by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Commissioner Williams-Cox. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Passes unanimously 5-0. Do we have anything else to come before us under policy formation direction?
No, sir.
All right, we're going to go ahead and recess. We'll be back at 6 o'clock for the public hearing, and then we will take up unagenda speakers and the sharing of ideas.
Madam Attorney, we've got a public hearing, item 16.01.
Thank you.
Turn it over to you.
Thank you. Item number 16.01 is the transmittal public hearing on the 2026 cycle comprehensive plan amendments, TTA 2026-002, TTA 2026-003, and TTA 2026-004. The recommended action is option 1, conduct the transmittal public hearing and transmit the proposed intergovernmental coordination element text element TTA 2026-002 amendment process. Land use and mobility element text amendment TTA 2026-003, Mahan Gateway corridor nodes, and land use and mobility element text amendment TTA 2026-004, lake protection node, to the state land planning agency and review agencies. Michael Alfano, Planning Department Director, will present this item and is available to address any questions.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem, we do not have speakers on the item.
No speakers on the item. Commissioners, what's your pleasure? Any questions, discussion?
Was there a presentation?
Is there a presentation?
No, Mike is here to answer questions.
Just to answer questions.
I move adoption.
All right, motion by Commissioner Williams-Cox. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Matlow. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 4-0 with the mayor being out of the chambers. Okay. So we're done with the public hearings. That moves us to item 13.01 on agenda speakers. Do we have any speakers lined up? Mr.
Yes,
Clerk?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, we do have speakers. We've got 6 or 8 of them.
Okay. Let's go ahead and get started with unagenda speakers.
Thank you. Our first speaker is Tiffany Hill, followed by Stanley Sims. As with the earlier part of our meeting, each speaker will have 3 minutes for remarks. I'll give you a heads up when you have 30 seconds left, and the light will also turn from green to yellow.
All right.
You'd put your name and address for the record. We'd appreciate it.
Okay. My name is Dr. Tiffany Hill. Proud to say that.
All right, Doc.
I am on 1401 Lola Drive here in Tallahassee. I just, I really wanted to speak to you all, and hopefully I can speak to your hearts, basically open mind. Of course, you all know, as disclosure, you know that I am running for office, but this is not about that. This is about me as a citizen. I am a little disappointed, not a little, I'll take that back. I'm very disappointed because in the military, we looked at processes, procedures, we check regulations. We don't make decisions unless we have full documentations in front of us and all the T's are crossed and all the I's are dotted. Today, with the sale of the TMH or the transfer of public asset to FSU, that was a mistake on a certain point of not having completed documents, because I'm afraid of what may happen on April 1st when they come back and say exactly what they're gonna do. I often wonder, when I did start looking at some of the documents, when I put in a public request on the 23rd of February, I have yet to get anything back except for a link to FSU's website. That shouldn't happen. That should come from the city. I should get that from the city. I called the city attorney's office and left a message and said, can you please give me a call back? I tried to call the city manager's office, and for some reason, I don't know if the phone don't work or something, but I didn't get through because I had questions, and I figured that you could tell me about the laws and the regulations and how that worked. It seemed to me, looking further into it, that the system was circumvented because, of course, TMH wanted to buy it.
You have about 30 seconds.
They made an offer to buy it, except you guys went with FSU because FSU is a state government organization, so you don't have to do the fair market value. So, but they are going to be leasing it back to TMH from what I understood. So if they're going to be doing that, I mean, somebody circumvented, they knew the law and you went around it.
I'm sorry, you're at 3 minutes.
So, thank you.
Thank
So
you,
I
Ms.
just
Hill.
need us to please reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Our next speaker, Mr. Clerk.
Next speaker was Stanley Sims, who is no longer present, so Alonzo Garcia is our next
All right,
speaker.
Mr. Garcia, come join us. Give us your name and address for the record, please, sir. You have 3 minutes.
Zip code 32304.
Okay.
All right, well, esteemed commission, public comment is really important to us, to the citizenry and to the public. And I come here offering not only a little case study, but also a warning, which is that this public comment is essential for citizenry to make their voices heard. For example, in Prince William County, when they proposed a data center in that county, over 200 people showed up online, 100 people in person. The meeting lasted 24 hours. The people got their voices heard. And with that, people were able to not only make their plans, make their voices heard, but then also, at the end of the day, that commission voted against it because they knew that the people's will was strong. And this is the power that this commission apparently feels is empowered to take away. Well, there's a warning for you, and that is that the public will is like water, a river of water. You cannot stop it. You may reroute it, but you cannot stop it at the end of the day because where we're going is justice. Justice for the 287G agreement, justice for Tallahassee Memorial, justice for our community, black and brown community in Tallahassee, justice for the trans community in Tallahassee, justice for every other group that is fighting for their fair share in this community. Because Tallahassee belongs to everyone who lives in it. It does not just belong to developers. It does not belong to just one group of people. So this is why I'm here today, to tell you that this is a matter of grave importance and that you cannot stop the public will, like in any sense. We will outlast you. We will be here. We will be patient. Our resolve is strong. I cannot say the same for yours. Now, I will leave you with this quote. They thought they could bury us, but we are seeds. That's a Mexican proverb basically saying you can't stop something that is inevitable. Pensaban que nos podían enterrar, pero somos semillas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia.
Next speaker is Mike Goldstein. He'll be followed by Howard Kessler.
Mike Goldstein, 914 Railroad Avenue, 32310. Hey guys, I'm getting back again. So just want to see about bringing back the Madison Street item from last year. It's been almost a year since that came up initially with the safety concerns in the area. With Banana Ball and bull riding at Doak now, those are some issues that might arise even with the traffic patterns. And I know last year the issue was not even a big event day, but just wondering if that's coming back at some point or what the thoughts are on bringing that back, because it was discussed to come back after football season, and we're almost into no spring game this year, so no football until fall again. So seeing if that was something to think about bringing back as an agenda item for Madison Street. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
Our next speaker is Howard Kessler, followed by Jennifer Smith.
Kessler, if you'd give us your name and address for the record, please.
Howard Kessler, 32303. So this morning was an historic vote on the sale of the hospital at FSU. Maybe historic, but I consider it very shameful. I'm here to speak primarily on the ICE 287G agreement. Your silence gives consent. ICE is an organization whose policies and actions are cruel and inhumane. And in Surprise, Arizona, there was a commission meeting, a small town. 1,000 people showed up because they were upset that an ICE facility was going to be established outside their town. And when one of the speakers spoke, he referred to a town in Ohrdruf, Germany. Ohrdruf was the first concentration camp that the Allies entered. And it was so bad that President at that time General Dwight D. Eisenhower, said that he wanted the leaders of that community to be brought through that camp so that they could see what was there, the stacked bodies, the odor, the human skeletons. And as they walked through, they were silent. And a lieutenant colonel said, U.S. Lieutenant Colonel said to the crowd, "You did this, you're responsible." The crowd was silent while I had been walking, but one of the Germans said, "We didn't do it, we didn't know. It was a small group of people inside." To which the lieutenant colonel said, "You knew enough. And you commissioners know enough. You know the lies that ICE says, you know the inhumane treatment that they do. You know enough. Please speak out, condemn ICE, try to rid that agreement, but if you can't rid the agreement, speak out, do a resolution, do a proclamation, do something. Don't let the people in this community see a silent commission on ICE." Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kessler. Our next speaker, Mr. Clerk.
Next speaker is Jennifer Smith.
Ms. Smith, you give us your name. Is she here?
I do not see Jennifer Smith.
Okay, next speaker.
Mayor, that's the last speaker I have a card for.
All right, is there
Mayor Pro
anyone
Tem,
who
excuse me.
would like to speak on this item that has not had an opportunity to fill out a speaker card? Anyone? Okay. So that brings us to commission discussion and ideas. Sure. Sharing of ideas, yeah. Great. Great. Okay, yeah, that brings us to sharing of ideas. Commissioner Porter? She stepped out. Oh, she stepped out. Commissioner Matlow, anything for us?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I appreciate the advocacy on the ICE issue. I know it's been well litigated and we've already voted on it, but I would support. I'm not going to bring a motion for something we've already voted on, but if ever there's a case for reconsideration, I would stand in support. Two issues I wanted to bring up. The first, Mr. Manager, the issue at Terra Lake Heights with the evictions of essentially the entire apartment complex. I'd like to start a conversation of how we got there and how do we avoid that in the future. It seems like there have been ongoing code enforcement issues over a course of years, and then the tenants were only given 7 days notice to vacate. I'm wondering if we need to be more forceful in code enforcement, either assigning fines and aggressively going after them to encourage these types of falling apart complexes to come into compliance, or if you have any insight. I'm open to ideas of how we can avoid that happening in the future. Is that something we should bring back, or we could discuss bringing back?
Mr. City Manager?
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, that's entirely up to you if you would like. Our fire chief is here. That was a very fire-centric issue. Ultimately, that's what that came down to. And the fire department does annual inspections, and they identified multiple failures of the fire systems, which created a very dangerous condition. And ultimately, the fire department didn't issue evictions. They didn't tell people they had to leave. They told the apartment complex they had to remedy the issues, and they had a period of time to do that. But they couldn't give them long because these were considered very dangerous, not incidental. And you know, they could tell you better than I can, like, you know, degrees of danger. And so the apartment complex was notified, and really the apartment complex ultimately elected to, for all intents and purposes, shut down, as opposed to attempting to remedy that situation. And you know, I think you've gotten a response, you know, separate from the fire department in terms of engaging the residents or making resources available to them. That's happening in our housing group. In this case, I think that because of the nature of the fire centricity of it, not the code violations, that's kind of a different thing. We probably have more latitude We give a lot more notice. I'll compare that to, from time to time, there may be an occasion because of just extreme delinquency. You approach that, the potential of turning off water to an apartment complex. We've dealt with that over the years. You'll probably recognize from time to time that happens. That's a big deal. And we approach that with a lot of effort, a lot of communication, a lot of time, because that's not a, we don't have to turn the water off at that moment because it's not a safety issue. And so we tend to be able to resolve those because of that ability to have time. This wasn't one of those cases to do that. And so the apartment complex was put on notice. There was a sincere hope by the fire department that they would begin to remedy these fire safety issues, and they just elected not to. And so I think it was I haven't seen a circumstance like that in my time. I've seen a lot of things, but not that. Normally, businesses want to survive. They want to continue to get the rent. And keep in mind, this was done not at the end of the month, but as we approached the end of the month, which was the fire department was cognizant of. Certainly, the fire department wanted the residents to know they were living in unsafe conditions and not to pay the rent that next month. I mean, that would be the worst case scenario. You pay the rent, and then a week into the month, you have to evacuate. And so I think certainly appreciate the comments, and we were uber sensitive, and the fire department's working with the housing group to the best of our ability. But I think it was that uniqueness of that fire safety. And again, it was multiple levels of fire safety, and I'm not doing it justice. They can do better than me. If it was only one element of the system, there are alternatives that can be employed to keep people there. But you really have to be careful if the fire department and the fire marshal, and certainly we give them all the deference, if they believe it's unsafe, and that's that shortens that timeline, that's got to be remedied. You can't leave somebody in an unsafe condition, but certainly something we're sensitive to. I feel good that the fire department worked with other departments to the ability they could. And I don't believe anybody's living there now. I think that it's been, for all intents and purposes, abandoned. And maybe not rehabbed at this point.
Commissioner Matlow.
And thank you. I appreciate the explanation. I respect the decision, the safety decision. I know that's a difficult decision to make, and we can talk about it further. But what I'm looking at, and Chief, you don't have to come to the microphone and have this conversation right now. But over the years, as we inspect, are there signs? Is there anything we can do from an enforcement standpoint or code enforcement standpoint to be more proactive before things deteriorate to that level? And I don't know all the circumstances of what were discovered. So that's what I'm curious about, if there's ways we can look at being more aggressive when we do see things falling into disrepair to start these processes earlier. The second issue I wanted to raise, and it was brought to my attention that in unincorporated Leon County, you can have chickens, but not roosters. But within the city of Tallahassee limits, you can have a rooster.
There's one in my neighborhood.
Yeah, and
you hear him crowing all the time.
Looking for them chickens.
That's not my understanding, but I'll have to check. I think it's the reverse, but maybe that's your point.
well, this is what was told to me, and I haven't checked at all.
I think it's the reverse.
So, there are roosters in the city limits that are giving people trouble.
I don't believe they're allowed.
Okay.
I believe that's a code issue.
No, in neighborhoods. It's a neighbor.
That's why they wouldn't be allowed, right? They're too close. Right.
That would make sense. So, can we look at that? And
yes, sir.
If that's either enforcement or if it's not the case, to rectify that?
Sure.
On point, are we discriminating against the rooster because the rooster crows? Because the rooster crows and the chicken died, and which came first?
I think it's a noise ordinance violation as well if it starts crowing too early. But
I mean, we don't have a problem with it. It's funny to me to get up in the morning because I grew up in the country where we had chickens and roosters. We heard roosters crowing, but
neighbor's rooster.
When I was in college, I lived on Jackson Bluff, and my neighbor had a peacock.
Oh.
And that thing would go off at like 4 a.m. It was pretty awful. So I haven't had the experience with roosters, but I have heard it. So just for follow up, that's all I have today. Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
All right. Commissioner Porter?
Nothing for me.
Okay. Williams Scott.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I wanted to say to the issue about the individuals who are being displaced due to the safety issue at the apartment complex. I was contacted via email by one of the residents, and what I've done is I've referred them to the Big Bend Continuum of Care, the executive director, because they are the lead in our region for homelessness. And so I've not heard back from Jonna, but I'm sure that they're working on trying to get these people placed. And I think it was very, very good to not wait until they paid rent so that they could have that money to try to get a new location. I wanted to bring three things. They're all the same thing, but they're just different names. I've been approached to ask for commission support to rename a couple of streets. One is for Reverend Jesse Jackson, West Carolina. And for those of you who know West Carolina, there's a community called Carolina Oaks that was built by the Bethel Church, and that street would that name would run through there because the request was for it to be in Frenchtown, and so Carolina Street, and it would also intersect with Martin Luther King in its way. So ask for I guess an agenda item or some information to come back on what that would entail. Also, I was approached by a citizen and then took it to the Urban League about renaming the short street right behind the Urban League, Central Street, I think it is, a Central Avenue, for the Reverend Ernest Farrell. As you all know, that he was a longtime president of the Urban League, and it was believed, but I believe it went to the Urban League board, and they have approved moving forward with that. And of course, at the last meeting, we talked about the honorary designation for Jim Lee Road for former school board member Maggie Lewis Butler, which is very similar to what the county did for former school board member Joy Boying on Tharp Street. So ask the commission support to move forward with getting information and preparing to do that. If there's nothing, city manager, if there's nothing that prevents or prohibits that. So
Are there any objections from the commission? Commissioner Matlow.
Thank you. And I don't have objections. I would like that we contact residents who have their property changed in advance. That's my only concern as we go down these renamings. The best and brightest way was a mix-up with the post office, and I got a lot of contacts about that one. So just making sure residents are aware and there's not severe opposition. But I support where you're going with it.
Okay. In Central, I don't think there's I don't think there's any houses or one or two.
Yeah.
Not many, because I think that was why it was selected, because of the number of folks. And when the street renamings occur, there's a process in place that the post office is notified. And and I know this because we had to go through it with the postmaster. The Jacksonville office is where the street renaming occurs, but the old street names continue to be there because they just add an alias, is what they explained to me. And so I'm not sure, we've had some issues with, the post office in the past, but I think our current postmaster is going to do a tremendous job in clearing that up. So hopefully we won't have that going forward. So, but we do follow that process that, our staff reaches out and sends this information over to the post office in Jacksonville to make sure that the names get added.
And just on point, and then I'll come to you, Commissioner Porter. Do we still have, city manager, the 60% requirement? The 60% of the property owners?
I believe it's 75%, sir.
Okay, I knew there was.
But there, just for clarity, when it's commission initiated, that requirement doesn't necessarily control. Now, of course, if you direct us to make that a condition, that certainly can be. But the natural process, if you initiate it, approve it, that's not a standard in our process.
Okay. Well, if there are no objections, Commissioner Porter, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I don't have any objections, but I would like, when these items come back to us, I've noticed that some of them, at least the last few that I remember, and I could be wrong, they don't have a cost associated with them, or a financial impact in the item. And I know there is some financial impact, even if it's minimal, and that doesn't mean I won't support it. I just would like a sense of what the costs are that are associated with the renamings.
So, thank you, Commissioner Porter. And so, other than the making of the sign, what other costs would there be associated?
That would, to the city, that would be probably the only cost. I mean, just the effort of changing the signs and producing the signs.
Yeah, okay. And so in that vein, I don't object to that. You bring back what it would cost to do that.
Now, would you be interested in that being a policy of the commission, Commissioner Porter, not just for these that Commissioner Williams-Cox has recommended this morning, but going forward?
I think it's a good idea. It's mostly just our agendas are organized in a way that there's a category that says fiscal impact. So it's already there. And so I'm just curious.
Okay.
So I don't intend to make a motion to make this policy from now on. If we could include that as they come back to us, like we would for any other item with a cost associated with it.
All right. Sounds good. I don't have anything, but Mr. City Manager, if you would, at our next meeting, bring us back information on how we move forward with, I think everyone agrees that that's what we want to do.
Do we need a vote?
No, sir. We were preparing the memorial designation for the next meeting, so that's already in.
Not memorial now, because she's still alive. It's honorary designation.
Excuse me, thank you for the correction. Thank you for the,
Let's happen
that's a
today.
good distinction. That was in motion to come back, and then so the other two, we certainly have enough direction, we'll bring them back.
Okay.
I think we'll organize them away. I think we need to let you know how many properties would be in, the kind of the scope. Carolina will be a longer stretch.
Yeah.
And I think it's West Carolina.
West Carolina.
Commissioner, I think that'd be a little longer stretch, so we'll kind of outline that for you.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
And on that point, the Bishop E.L. Shepherd Way, those signs are up, but the family asked that we not do the programming for it until March 21st, because they were having a big meeting at the church, bringing a lot of people in from out of town. And so we plan to be there for the program, and our communications office is working with the pastor of Watson Temple, who is the son of Bishop Shepherd, to make sure that we have a short program. We're not asking staff to be there or anything, because the sign is already up, but I'll be there to represent the city, and of course, everyone is invited.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, before you adjourn the meeting, if I could, in the city limits, you are allowed to have chickens and one rooster.
You can't have one rooster.
You can have one rooster.
One rooster.
That's a busy rooster.
All right, well, my neighbor is not out of compliance.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to make a motion that we bring back an item reviewing that policy.
It's an ordinance.
Okay, or what?
We can bring back an information.
An information item on it and comparing it to what the county allows.
Okay. Do we need a motion, or would you be,
We can
just
bring back.
direction would
That's
be
fine.
sufficient?
Direction's sufficient.
Okay, all right. You could bring that back to us, Madam Attorney. All right, anything else that we need to bring before the commission?
No, sir.
All right, we stand adjourned, 6:30 p.m.